Okay. What's up, guys? This is Ty Zen. Welcome to the cryptocurrency.market channel. This is a trading, investing, and entrepreneurship channel. And with me, guys, today we have a very special guest. You know, Roger Ver. Say hello, Roger.
Hey, everyone. So I've been a big fan of Ty's videos off and on for a while now. So.
Yeah. And so it's been a long time, man, since I've been wanting to sit down and interview with you. I've been following you since 2012 when I got into Bitcoin. And I mentioned that because we got a lot of people that are new to the crypto world and they don't realize how long you've been in crypto. Like back when I got into crypto in 2012, it was just like you, Brother John F., Andreas Antonopoulos, James D'Angelo, and Mad Bitcoins. He was there, right? And
Mad Bitcoin?
Yeah. So I've been trying to.
Old timers will remember that.
Yeah.
I think, so.
Yeah. So, you know, I've been trying to catch up with you for the last few years, but we haven't crossed paths. You know, we have some mutual friends with David Johnston and those guys in Austin. But good to see you here in Vietnam. We're broadcasting from atop of the 5th floor of our my apartment complex here, and in District 7 in Ho Chi Minh City. And I want to go through a little bit about some of the history of Bitcoin, how you got into it, how you got into the space, how you were educating the public about Bitcoin for many years. Because a lot of the people that came in after the Bitcoin bull market in 2017, they don't know about your background, and sometimes they do a bunch of stupid trolling and stuff, but they don't know what you've been doing before that, right? So let's start off with a little bit about your background. Where you were originally from in the U.S. and you know what you did before you got into crypto.
Yeah, so I grew up in Silicon Valley and had a successful business right there in Silicon Valley selling computer components. It was a company called MemoryDealers.com. It actually wound up being the very first company of any basically sort of substance to start accepting Bitcoin for payments. And so back in 2011, we did that, and it got worldwide attention because of that. Because up to that point, about the biggest, most established business you could actually spend cryptocurrency at, or back then it was only Bitcoin, it wasn't even cryptocurrency, but it was some guy making alpaca socks in their backyard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So how did you first, I mean, you were selling memory and hardware stuff for computers. How did you hear about Bitcoin, or who introduced you to it? Or because 2011 was like way back then.
Yeah, so I've been a libertarian for a long, long time, and I was listening to this libertarian radio show called Free Talk Live out of the US, and I was listening to the podcast version, and they mentioned Bitcoins in reference to the Silk Road. And I had no interest at all about buying or selling drugs, but I heard that people were buying and selling drugs using some sort of money called Bitcoin to do it. And like, I know you couldn't easily buy or sell drugs using PayPal or Visa or things like that, so I thought, what the heck kind of money could they possibly be using for this? So I started Googling Bitcoin, and then I had enough of a computer science background to understand the tech side of it, and I had enough of an entrepreneurship and economics background to understand that, people are going to start using this as money. So my first step was to buy some Bitcoin, and my next step was to start funding all the businesses that would make it easy for normal people to start using Bitcoin as money, and that's exactly what I did.
So could you share like the first Bitcoin you ever got? Like what was it then? Back then, $1, $2?
It was less than $1.
Less than $1.
The first Bitcoins that we ever purchased, we wired the money to it was Mt. Gox, but it wasn't the Mt. Gox corporate business account. It was the personal account of the guy that started Mt. Gox before Mark Karpelès was even involved in Mt. Gox.
Who was that? Jeb McCaleb?
Jeb McCaleb, exactly.
Yeah, who's also the founder of Stellar today.
Yeah, and the founder of Ripple before that.
Yeah.
So he's had quite the fascinating string of businesses there. But so I wired the money to his personal bank account. And then for other old timers, they'll remember the Casacius physical Bitcoins from Mike Caldwell in Utah. Was making those as well, so I bought some from him.
You're talking about the metal ones, the physical, yeah.
But this was before he was even making the physical metal ones.
Yeah.
But so I there wasn't an easy way to buy Bitcoin, so I found every path that I could find to buy Bitcoin and started executing upon all of them in parallel. So one to Mt. Gox, another to the Casacius Bitcoins guy, Mike Caldwell, and I think maybe it's been so long. Anywhere and everywhere I could find it.
So kind of share this because most people don't know this. Back then, it was very hard to buy Bitcoins because when our team bought our first Bitcoins at $60 back in late 2012, 2013, even then, it was hard to even get like $500 or $1,000 worth of Bitcoins. Because a lot of people say...
It was much easier by then, though, because you had like BitInstant at that point.
Yeah, with Charlie Shrem. That's who we actually, our team, we actually bought our first Bitcoins from Charlie Shrem, you know. And back then, like, you know, whenever people first get into Bitcoin, the first thing that they're concerned with, is it a scam or not, you know? Now, what kept that, besides your computer science background, right? What kept you from thinking, worrying that it was a scam or not?
And people can scam anybody for money, but I knew Bitcoin itself wasn't a scam. And actually, part of why I was so confident that people were going to start using it as money was due to my time in prison. And so I saw in prison firsthand things people just naturally start to use as money. Were postage stamps, tobacco, and top ramen soups, and sometimes like cans of mackerel as well, right? So like, and if you look at it, all those things have the characteristics. They're easy to recognize, they're easy to store. Every piece is the same as every other piece, and like really, really importantly, outside that, they all have an additional use case. The stamps you can mail letters, the chewing, the tobacco you can smoke, the food things you can eat. They all have an additional use case. None of them are used solely just as a store of value or something like that in prison. So like I saw firsthand this entire amazing, ingenious prison economy with people buying and selling and doing all sorts of things with everybody. And so I saw people were already using Bitcoin to buy and sell drugs on the Silk Road. I knew that people were going to use Bitcoin to buy and sell everything, and we just need to build the software tools in order to make it easy for them to engage in that commerce. And
and so you mentioned about your time in prison. You mentioned offline that you spent about 10 months in federal prison. Could you share with our audience what it was for? Because when I went to federal prison, it was for drugs. You know.
And so I was around most people just like you had been, buying, selling, or using drugs. And so I actually went to prison for selling firecrackers on eBay. So
but legally they didn't call it firecracker. They used some weird fancy term to make it look like it was dangerous or something.
So the actual charge is dealing in explosives without a license. But I bought firecrackers on one website and then sold them on eBay. And this is back when eBay had like a guns and ammo section, and you could sell, all sorts of things on eBay. But I was buying, the first ones I bought were from Cabela's Sporting Goods catalog, if you're familiar with Cabela's in the U.S. And then resold them on eBay because I thought I could make some additional money doing that. And I like firecrackers. Firecrackers are fun, right?
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that, you know.
And I don't see anything wrong with people buying, selling, or using drugs either. People own their own body. You have the absolute moral right to put whatever you want in your own body, so long as you don't hurt somebody else. But your body belongs to you. And
it's weird because I had a bunch of friends back in the late 80s and early 90s that went to prison for decades over marijuana. And now they're talking about making it, a lot of the states have already made it illegal in the U.S. And now they're looking to make a federal law and make it so it's to decriminalize it completely. So no one can go to prison for
my bunkmate while I was in prison is either a 13 or a 14-year sentence for selling marijuana. Right? It was a lot of marijuana, but it's a plant that makes people feel happy. Like, how crazy is the world that they want to toss people in jail for having a plant that makes them feel happy?
Yeah, I agree with you on the marijuana stuff. That's a plant that's like any other plant on the planet. If you choose to put it in your body, that's your personal business, in my opinion. That should not be a government regulated activity, But so you got into that, and then you heard about Bitcoins in 2011, and then you started educating the public about it. And I didn't hear about you until like late 2012 when I was working at an energy brokerage firm in Dallas, and I started hearing about Bitcoins. And when you search on there about Bitcoins back then, there's only like a handful of people that actually pop up that even talked
back then.
No, it was just you. Oh, there's one other guy that I failed to mention. It was Amir Taki. He was another guy that was talking about, I think he was another, you're coming from a libertarian perspective, but I think Amir Taki came from more like an anarchist perspective, right? For our audience that's outside the U.S. that may not know what a libertarian perspective is, could you just define from your perspective what a libertarian thought is so that they kind of have an idea of your background?
Yeah, so I guess the word I prefer the most, like in America, like libertarian is kind of the common word, but a word that's even less confusing, I think, is voluntarist. And so like my philosophy is I think anybody should be allowed to do anything that's voluntary. So I can ask you, would you like to buy some water?
Yeah.
Would you like to do business with me?
Yeah.
And you can say yes or no. And that's how pretty much everybody deals with everybody in every aspect of their life all the time, right? Starbucks asks you, would you like to buy some coffee? And you can say no. Everybody deals with everybody that way, with the exception of robbers, rapists, murderers, and governments, right?
Yeah.
You don't have the ability to tell the government, no, I don't want to participate in your social security system, or no, I don't want to go and fight in your war, or no, I don't want to pay for your war.
Yeah.
If you tell them no, they send you to jail. And I have a real big problem with that, just like I have a real big problem with robbers and rapists and murderers as well, because if it's not voluntary, it's not okay. So I think all human interaction should be on a voluntary, consensual basis,
And
or not at all.
being forced to do it.
Don't force anybody to do anything against their will. Yeah.
So when you heard about Bitcoin and with that libertarian mindset, so naturally you gravitated towards it,
Yes,
right?
I literally, when I first heard about it, I got so excited that I stayed up all night the first night reading everything I could. And I'm someone who usually needs all of my sleep every night, but I stayed up all night the next day until like 4 in the afternoon, and then went to sleep for only maybe half an hour or an hour, woke up again wide awake and read about it again, stayed up all night the next night reading about it and far into the next day, and then fell asleep maybe only 1 hour. And I did that for about a whole week, and after about a whole week of only sleeping about an hour a night, I got so sick from lack of sleep. And I couldn't even drive myself to the hospital. I had to call a good friend of mine and say, help me, I need you to take me to the hospital.
Over some Bitcoins.
And he drove me to the hospital, and then they gave me some sort of sedative, and then I went to sleep, and I think I slept for like 18 hours straight at that point, and then woke up again, but right back to Bitcoin. It's been all Bitcoin, all day, every day since then now, and here we are about 9 years later almost.
You know what's interesting, how you described that whole journey that you got into Bitcoin was the same exact journey that me and my business partner, LeonFood.com, that got into. Andreas Antonopoulos described it the exact same way. Like many of the people who got into Bitcoin or heard about it or got exposed to it.
Obsessed with it.
Yeah, they got obsessed with it the first, like few weeks or months that they got into it. And to me, like whenever I talk to the guys that get into crypto today, that's one thing I noticed. Like the guys that genuinely they get it or they understand it, that they describe their journey into Bitcoin the exact same way.
Going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. And so that was in 2011. Let's fast forward. I heard about you in 2012, 2013. Right, when Bitcoin went from 2013, late 2013, 14, when it went from like $200 up until like $165 to like $1,200 bucks the first time at Mt. Gox.
Yep.
Right. How did you feel about that then? Like, was that confirmation to you that, hey man, we're finally here, or you were already set that this is the future and that didn't matter to you?
And it was fun and exciting, but it wasn't surprising.
Yeah.
Because I knew this is going to change the entire world. Although if we can back up a little bit too, I've never been a Bitcoin maximalist. I was never a Bitcoin maximalist. So even in 2012, a lot of people don't know this, I put up the seed money to start Ripple. I was the second person ever involved in Ripple. So Jed McCaleb had the idea to start Ripple.
Yeah.
And then he contacted me because he knew I was busy promoting everything I could in regards to cryptocurrencies. And he said, can you help fund the starting of Ripple? So I paid David Schwartz as the CTO of Ripple's salary for his first year working on that. And I was still personally mainly focused on Bitcoin because I thought it had the head start and the most lead. And then that was true up until Bitcoin Cash came along. I thought Bitcoin had the best chance of being money for the world.
So talk about that for a minute, because a lot of people don't know, like a lot of people that are new and they hear all this fake news and all this trolling and this campaign online to basically talk bad about you and troll you, and they don't know that you were there promoting, where you were like one of the earliest, like if anyone had to list.
I was the earliest.
Yeah, the earliest. Yeah. Like if you had you were referred to as Bitcoin Jesus.
Yeah.
And we all knew that because you were out there prophesizing, evangelizing the world.
And spreading the money around to every single business that was building on top of Bitcoin.
Yeah. And so what happened there, do you think, where you were supporting this, but then other people started coming in? Talk about how, like, when was it, like 2014 or 2015? When was the first signal or indicator or sign that Bitcoin was moving away from being a electronic peer-to-peer cash anymore?
Yeah, I probably noticed it in like late 2014 or 2015, I think. And the thing that was like the real epiphany for me was when I realized that some of these Bitcoin core developers it's not that the fees were getting high on Bitcoin, it was that they wanted the fees to become high on Bitcoin. And when I figured out that the Bitcoin core developers wanted the fees to be high on Bitcoin, that's when I stopped supporting the Bitcoin core developers, because if you want somebody to use something, it has to be more useful than whatever they're using already, which means the transaction has to be fast, cheap, and reliable.
Yeah.
And then when I figured out that the Bitcoin core developers were intentionally trying to make the transactions on Bitcoin slow, expensive, and unreliable for on-chain transactions, well, I can't support that because nobody's going to use a Bitcoin that's slow, expensive, and unreliable. And when I realized that they intentionally wanted that, and even today there's lots of people that don't realize that the explicitly in writing stated goal of a bunch of these Blockstream guys and Bitcoin core developers is that they want the transactions, they want the blocks to be full, which makes the transactions slow, expensive, and unreliable.
Okay.
And when I figured out that that was their goal, I thought, oh my God, this is a disaster for Bitcoin. We need to fix this. And that's why I started supporting things like Bitcoin Unlimited back before, Bitcoin Cash had split
Okay,
away.
so like on our channel, like we talk about, like always, like in God we trust, in man we have to verify, right? So I always tell our viewers that to always confirm and verify the data that they hear from other people, whether it's from me, whether it's from you, from anybody, right? So can you share, like from your perspective, what was the piece of data or what action or what did you see? Because you hear a lot of people throwing out their emotions online in crypto land, and it's really hard to distinguish the emotions from the actual data.
Yeah.
So what data point did you see that, hey man, like, wait a minute, why is these guys want to increase the fees? What was it? Did you see the fees go up? Because you had...
Well, the fees were going up,
yeah.
but I think it was probably something Adam Back said. Like, I can't remember the one specific thing, but it was. I remember, like, if people go and search on YouTube, you can find a video of me with the Bitcoin. What's the guy to Florida with always wears the different hats names?
I know, June Seth.
Yeah, June Seth and his other partner.
Yeah, the guys that's always the Howard Stearns of crypto.
Those two guys. So not the June Seth, but the other guy was on there. I think June Seth might have been on there.
Chris
DeRose. Yeah, I'm
Chris,
sorry
yeah.
I forgot your name, Chris.
Yeah.
I was on there with Chris DeRose, and maybe June Seth was there too, but I was like, you can find me on camera saying, we're so lucky to have Blockstream, and we're so lucky to have all these developers working on the future of Bitcoin, and this is great that we have these people.
Yeah.
And then later on when I figured out that those people, their goal for Bitcoin wasn't the same as mine. My goal was peer-to-peer electronic cash for the world where anyone can send and receive any amount of money with anyone and they don't need permission from anybody else. That was my goal from day one.
Yeah.
When I realized that that was not the goal of the Blockstream guys for on-chain Bitcoin transactions, we have a conflict of vision there.
And so what do you think is the incentive behind that? Because, like, we all do things because of incentives, right?
Yeah.
And back then, right, what was the financial incentive for them for Adam Back and Blockstream and those guys to focus more on a fee system in Bitcoin? Because I remember when I got into Bitcoin, right, me and my friends, we everywhere we go, we would just send Bitcoins to everybody at every meetup to show them what Bitcoin was, and we can send them 10, 20, 30, 100 Satoshis at a time.
Yeah,
I remember
no problem.
Back, and you might remember this too, is that somebody sent a $150 million transaction through
For
the
free.
Bitcoin network for, I think it was like almost free, it was like almost 5 cents. It was like a huge deal that it was like the first time that it was recorded in history that somebody had sent such a large value for such a small fee.
So I think a lot of people won't know this, but in the early days of Bitcoin, the vast majority of all transactions were completely free. It's not that they were cheap, but they were 100% free. The fee was zero. If you had coins that hadn't moved for a certain number of blocks, it was completely free to move them. And then over time, more and more transactions had to have a fee, and then eventually they got rid of the free transactions completely. But up until like 2013-ish or so, almost all transactions were free. Like 95% of the transactions were completely free. Zero fees, 0 Satoshis per byte. That was the standard.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people today don't realize that.
Yeah, because they've never, because
they never
most people,
experienced. They came to
most
Bitcoin
people
after
that
that.
come in today have, I don't think, like, most of the people that come into Bitcoin today, they've never actually purchased something with it.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first got into Bitcoin in 2012, 13, 14, 15, every time me and my friends met up at one of the Bitcoin meetups, we would always walk over to the taco trucks, the food trucks, and they would have their little barcode up. We would scan it, pay for the tacos, and pay for the burritos and stuff. And so we used it.
I think I remember reading about that online happening in the LA area. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it was in many areas, but we did it in the Austin,
okay.
in the downtown Austin
Yeah, there were
area.
lots of places where that was happening, though. Yeah.
It was all over the place. People were paying for their conferences, their meetups with the Bitcoin. And nowadays, like it's
Nobody
kind of
pays for anything. With
it's kind of
Bitcoin
sad,
anymore.
but even the Bitcoin conferences that you go to, they don't even accept Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You know, so that's okay. So when you saw that happening, that the Blockstream guys and the Bitcoin Core guys trying to increase or favoring a fee-based system, right? You said that you started supporting other
Bitcoin Unlimited was the main one back then.
Is that the one by Mike Hearn, or who is that by?
So actually, before Bitcoin Unlimited, there was Bitcoin XT, which was Mike Hearn and Gavin Andreessen's project.
Okay.
And for those that don't know, Gavin Andreessen's literally the person that Satoshi, when he disappeared, he turned over the project to Gavin Andreessen.
Okay.
And so, from my point of view, too, you look at it like we had the winning economic formula: fast, cheap, reliable transactions, just letting the blocks get bigger as more and more people started to use Bitcoin. Bitcoin was on fire. It was starting to take over the world. The entire world was starting to pay attention. And then the biggest change that ever happened to Bitcoin was allowing those blocks to become full, which then make the transactions become slow, expensive, and unreliable, and give the users a bad user experience. And for the first time in the entire history of Bitcoin, we had negative Bitcoin adoption. We had fewer businesses and fewer people using Bitcoin than ever before. That had never happened before in the entire history of Bitcoin. So that was a huge, huge, huge hard fork to the economic code of Bitcoin.
Okay. So, now you know, like, just to play devil's advocate, because some people out there are saying, hey, you know, Satoshi never intended. Some people argue that Satoshi wanted 1 megabyte blocks for Bitcoin, and then there's other groups of people that said that, hey, that's not what he intended. That was just like a temporary patch or a temporary fix until they figure out how to make the blocks bigger or anything like that. And when I've read some of the Satoshi writings, right, and I can't quote exactly where it's at or the exact quote, but there was some
wrote the code on how to make the blocks bigger, and then he also said, like, a quote, word for word quote from Satoshi says, and I quote, "The ultimate solution is just to allow the blocks to become as big as they need to be." That's a word for word quote from Satoshi.
Yeah,
pretty clear.
I didn't see that quote. I've heard of it, but the one that I wrote, that I read, was where he said that he didn't expect every end user to run a full node
of course
and
not.
store all the blockchain data
on their Raspberry Pi at home.
Yeah,
of course.
So can you talk about that, because that's something that people you have experience in the memory business.
Yeah.
So you would probably, I mean, you know more about that than I do, but why is that not necessary, or why is that not important, or why is that not good for me as the end user? I'm not a hardware guy. I'm not a engineer. Like, why is it that for me as an individual user, why is it's not important for me to run a full node?
It's not. As long as you have your private keys, it's just fine. And in fact, if anything, like so to use the Lightning Network permissionlessly, you have to run a full node, right? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of resources. That's a big pain in the butt. If you're using an SPV wallet, you don't have to run a full node, right? You can connect to anybody's full node out there. But if you have a bunch of people around the world using Bitcoin in commerce, you're going to have a whole bunch of full nodes around the world. And it's not the percentage of people running the full nodes, it's the absolute number of full nodes that give Bitcoin its censorship resistance. And by full node, if you really look at it, and you read the white paper and you look at the definition of what's talked about or meant by a full node, it's a miner, right?
Okay.
If you're mining Bitcoin, you're a full node. If you're not mining, you're not doing anything. If anything, you're just like adding lag to the network.
Yeah, because I can download the Bitcoin Core software right now on my computer, crank it up, let it run 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
But statistically, the odds of me ever validating a block and
zero if you're not mining.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like,
zero.
if I'm not signing that and getting a block reward, the chance of that ever happening is almost zero.
Yeah. No, if you're not mining, it is zero.
Yeah, because I can't compete with all those. Because I have friends that mine Bitcoins, and they have containers full.
Yeah,
like
these mining hardware, specialized hardware.
Yeah, like you go to their places, they got containers here, and they are stocked with miners in there.
So this is another great example of like the logical double standards from these Bitcoin core maximalists. Like during the civil war within Bitcoin, the split, they used to say that miners don't matter, right? Miners don't matter. You said the miners don't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yet they're busy insisting that there has to be a fee market for the miners to maintain network security. So which is it? Do the miners not matter, or do they matter and that's why you need a fee market? But they say all these double standards all the time, and nobody seems to point out these crazy double standards that these guys hold all at the same time. And it's really frustrating to see that people because I don't know if you were around and remember that they were very clearly saying miners don't matter. We don't need miners. Miners
Yeah,
doesn't
I've
matter.
heard that, and then they switch back and forth between their stories, and it just creates confusion in the markets, But now, some people say that, hey man, if you I think Jameson Lopp, one of the
I know he
Bitcoin
is.
Core security guys and engineers, I've seen him say that, hey man, you can't just keep increasing the size of the ledger, right?
Yeah.
The blocks, and at some point it's going to get too big, and then we can't scale infinitely like that, right?
Yeah.
So with your memory background, right, can you address that? Is that like what is it?
You absolutely can scale the blocks forever. It is a long-term solution thanks to Moore's law. So I guess a little example. When I first started selling computer memory,
Yeah.
one of the very first modules that I was selling was an 8 megabyte, not gigabyte, not terabyte, 8 megabyte
Yeah.
cache module. And I was selling them for $680 each for an 8 megabyte memory module.
Okay.
And towards the end of my career, right when I was starting to get into Bitcoin, those same modules that used to be $680, 12 years earlier, they were selling for 5 cents each, right? Basically, you're
Yeah.
selling by the pound, right?
Yeah.
For the weight, for the scrap material. So that wasn't that long of a period of time. Or also some of the first network equipment I was selling were 2,400 baud modems.
Yeah.
And by the end, I was selling 100 gigabit optical transceivers. So that's like a million X, more than a million times increase.
Yeah.
In just 12 years or something like that. So
So are you saying that the way that technology is advancing, you don't see that as an issue, and that if it ever becomes an issue, we'll have new technology to solve that issue?
absolutely.
Is that what you believe?
Every single year, computers get faster, better, cheaper,
Yeah.
and more efficient, and cheaper year after year. So it's absolutely is a long-term solution. It's just to allow the blocks to get as big as they need to be. One single photo on my iPhone
Yeah.
is bigger than one single block on the Bitcoin blockchain today. A single photo on my iPhone.
So because when I use a Bitcoin Lite wallet, SPV wallet, right?
Yeah.
I don't,
You just download the headers. Yeah.
Yeah,
couple megabytes total.
hey, if I want to validate a transaction, I can just go to the Block Explorer, at blockchain.info or something, and confirm that transaction.
Yeah.
I don't see why I need to run my computer to validate the transaction when there's a bunch of other services out there that do it for me, and I don't have to pay for the
And you have a good user experience that way
Yeah.
too, right? So
Yeah.
you can carry it around on your phone and all that. So
Yeah, because to me it's it's just not realistic for a new user, like someone here in Vietnam or just anywhere, where they can just come in and just, hey, let me run a full node so I can just make a transaction. To me, that doesn't, from a user experience perspective, I just don't see that.
and most people don't even understand the difference. So recently there was this lightning torch that was going around on
Yeah.
social media and Twitter. 99% of the people there didn't even understand what they were doing. Most of them were using custodial wallets, right?
Yeah.
If someone else has custody, it's not even a wallet, it's just an account.
Yeah.
And so it's no different than me sending PayPal from my PayPal account to your PayPal account, but they were bouncing around this lightning torch from one custodial account to another custodial account within the same platform.
Yeah.
That's not anything, that's not exciting, but they were all on social media doing all sorts of, promoting of it. And I talked to, one of the people that received the lightning torch was Lynn Ulbricht,
Yeah.
Ross Ulbricht's mother.
Yeah.
And she just, kind of wants to participate here. And she didn't even understand that what she had done wasn't any more exciting than using PayPal or using Bank of America. She hadn't done anything. And I think most of these people don't even understand it. If you don't have the keys, or
Yeah.
if you're trying to use Lightning Network, if you're not running a full node yourself,
Yeah.
you're not using it. You're not the boss of the show. You're no different than using a PayPal account.
Yeah, our team tried to set up a Lightning node, because we
Not
don't.
easy, is it?
Hell no, it's not easy, man. And these guys are engineers, man. And I'm just an idiot. But my business partners are not idiots. They're they're real Asians. They actually they're real engineers. Not like the fake ass Asians like me. But what I'm saying is that I don't see how anyone can come in that to get mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies.
And have a bad user experience. It's not going to happen.
No, I don't see that happening. They're going to have to, something has to be done about that user experience, because people are not going to come in and set up a Lightning node or Lightning channels just to make a payment. To me, that's just that's just a.
So that's a great intro. I've been meaning to make my own video for my own channel on this,
Yeah.
but maybe now is a good chance. You have your phone handy?
Yeah.
So you don't have a Bitcoin Cash wallet on your phone, is that correct?
No, I usually carry mine on a hardware wallet.
So start the timer on this video right now. Let's see how long it takes to permissionlessly onboard him to
Yeah.
Bitcoin Cash here. So open the Play Store if you don't mind.
Could you turn that around? Let me see here.
And so you're gonna open You're going to open the Play Store if you don't mind.
Okay, let me go
Sorry to
here.
put you on the spot here. So.
No worries, no worries. I've done this, a bunch of times when I first got into Bitcoin.
Yeah, and you're going to search for Bitcoin wallet. And the Bitcoin.com wallet should be the very top result, this green one right here.
Okay.
And so you'll hit install, and you'll see we have more than 1 million downloads coming up on 5 million.
Okay, the one from
This
Bitcoin.com.
is the one, but there's tons that you can choose from,
Yeah.
right? This I think it's a good one, but
Yeah.
make your own decision here.
Well, just to be safe, I would just prefer my viewers to use the one that's most recognizable, because I don't like to send them to new ones that I don't know.
Sure. This is an open source wallet app as
Yeah.
well. Anyhow, it's downloading. It's halfway there.
Yeah.
And again, the timer's been going. Maybe what? 30 seconds in? 45 seconds in?
30 seconds from
We're
the time
25
you
seconds in.
install.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Less than 30 seconds from the time you hit install. We're 3/4 downloaded now. All right.
Okay.
4/5 downloaded.
Now, as this is how we used to in 2012, 13,
Yeah.
14, 15, 16. This is how we used to evangelize
There we
people.
go. It's installing now. It's finished downloading. So go ahead and hit open.
Okay.
And when it's done setting up your wallet for the first time, you're going to hit receive, and then I'm going to scan this, and I'm going to send you some Bitcoin Cash permissionlessly from my phone to your phone in a completely non-custodial way.
Generating
There you
new
go. Hit
address. Receive.
So I'm scanning that, and here I'm going to send you here's $20, for example. Thank you for lunch the other day. Sent. Hold your camera up for the phone.
Okay, it's right
It's
there.
already there.
It's already there.
And so it took 1 minute and 8 seconds according to the timer here.
Yeah.
The money
Okay.
literally went from my phone to your phone. The private keys are on your phone. It didn't go
Yeah.
through Bitcoin.com. It didn't go through Bank of America. It didn't go through some other centralized custodian.
No,
it went from
it's
my phone
peer
to your phone
peer, which means
permissionlessly.
person to
You
person.
can't do that with Lightning Network. It would be an all-day process to set up a permissionless Lightning Network wallet where you don't have to trust somebody else.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to go through that and spend all day to set that up. Whereas this permissionlessly right now, today, in like a minute, right?
Yeah.
1 minute and 8 seconds it took to do that. So,
Yeah, and,
including the downloading of the app.
Yeah. No, this is how my friends and I used to go to the Bitcoin meetups, and this is how we used to evangelize people about Bitcoin, the electronic peer-to-peer cash. And I just want to pause and add this so the viewers know. At the top in the red here, it says wallet not backed up. Make sure that you guys back it up. You know what I mean?
Because Bitcoin.com doesn't have your money. The money will
Yeah.
be on your phone itself. So,
Okay, well, thanks for the $20,
yeah, my
man.
pleasure.
Okay.
Pay it forward.
Whenever these people that are against using Bitcoin as an electronic peer-to-peer cash, like the white paper says, what's your thoughts on why is it so that these guys are so obsessed with having Bitcoin be used as a store of value first? Like, what is the idea behind that? Because when I first got into Bitcoin, the reason why I got into it was because
You could buy and sell things with it, right?
you can't. No one can censor what you just did. Like no one can come in here and prevent you
No
from
one in
sending
the
that
world
$20.
can block that payment. No one can
Yeah.
freeze your account. No one can freeze my account. No one in the world can mess
Yeah.
with that. That's
And
a
then
big
once
deal.
I back this up and I have the password in my head, even if you steal my phone, you're not going to get it.
Exactly.
Okay. So what do you think is the incentive behind the store of value that these Bitcoin core guys are so adamant about?
So if I can put on my conspiracy theory hat for a moment. So the U.S. government has the U.S. dollar, which is basically the world's reserve currency.
Yeah.
In like 2013, and in the early days, everybody knew Bitcoin was money. Bitcoin
Yeah.
was supposed to be used as money. Everybody knew Bitcoin
Yeah.
was money. In like 2013, the IRS came out with a ruling, Bitcoin is property.
Yeah.
It's not money. Bitcoin is property, and you have to pay capital gains tax on the value change in property. And then we had Blockstream come along and say, Bitcoin is not money. Bitcoin is a store of value. And like basically parroting the exact same thing the IRS had been saying about Bitcoin. And so if you have the magic money printing machine where you can print as many dollars as you want and the entire world is using it, and this new technology comes along and has the ability to undermine it, the best way you could stop that
Yeah.
would be to convince everybody not to use that new thing as money to compete with the dollar. And you say, oh, it's just a store of value. Don't actually use it for anything. And like you've missed the whole point. Yet a bunch of gullible sheep out there, I think, have been brainwashed into following that along, and then they're scared, right? Because maybe they've made some money on Bitcoin, or they're
Okay.
hoping to make some money on Bitcoin. And if everybody around them is saying one thing, they think, oh, well, I better say that too, because otherwise it might hurt my future prospects of making money.
Yeah.
And just like if when you're a little kid, everyone around you tells you Santa Claus is real. so
And
you believe it.
Yeah.
If everybody around you tells you, oh, Bitcoin's only supposed to be a store of value and you're never supposed to use it for anything, you would believe it. Or if everybody around you on the censored media platform say, oh, Roger Vere's a scammer,
Yeah.
you'll believe it. But like if you go and do your own research, you'll find out Santa Claus is not real,
Yeah.
and Bitcoin was supposed to be money from day one, and I'm not a scammer, I'm here telling the truth.
Yeah.
And do your own research on all of those topics, and I'm sorry if anyone found out for the first time that Santa's not real today. Sorry, kids.
You know how many kids' feelings out there you just hurt, man?
Hopefully the kids over there didn't hear me. So.
They got Christmas signs and Christmas decorations all around us here, man. They got the lights around the palm trees, and you're telling everyone here, you're breaking into all these Vietnamese that, Santa's not real, man. Well, okay, so check this out. Okay, so let's get back to this, right? We got a situation now where in August of 2017, right, the Bitcoin community, split into Bitcoin Core and then Bitcoin Cash, right? Is that something like you wanted to see happen, or were you trying to fight to prevent that from happening? Because there's a lot of, the reason I'm asking you that is because there's a lot of these, I don't fall for that you want to split the community, and here's the reason why. Because a lot of people say you're doing that to make money off of that, and I don't fall for that for 1 minute because I know how much money I've made. And I got into crypto way after you did. So if you got in as early as you did,
I did just
right?
fine.
Yeah, I know you did. So when somebody says that you're doing it because of money, right? Like there's a lot of people that tell me, oh, I'm not doing this because of money or whatever. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. After you make 10 or $100 million, then come back and tell me that you're not doing it because of money, But when you've just made $100, $200, I don't believe that shit for one moment, right?
Yeah.
But for you, I know. I don't know exactly how much you made,
some ballpark numbers,
but I know, if I got in several years after you did it, and I know what I did, and I know that you've invested in many other companies. You got into Ripple, you got into, you're one of the early investors in blockchain.info, in the Kraken exchange, BitPay, so many damn blockchain and crypto companies that financially, that like this like it's not enough for me to be convinced that you're doing it just because of money. You know what I'm saying? So for the people out there that don't understand why you're still fighting this battle with using Bitcoin as electronic cash, can you share that? So that people, I hate these idiots when they keep saying that you're doing it because you want to split the community so you can make money off a Bitcoin Cash or whatever, man.
So the motivation from when I got involved in data was like, when I first got involved in Bitcoin, like I was already a multimillionaire. So I had about a net worth of maybe around $10 million at that point. Right?
And this is even before crypto?
This is before Bitcoin had even been invented.
Okay.
Right? So like I was doing just fine. I have more than that now.
Yeah.
Right? But even then, the motivation was, let's bring more economic freedom to the entire world, because economic freedom leads to economic growth. Economic growth leads to more amazing iPhones and amazing Teslas and SpaceX and life extension technology and all of these amazing technologies that make the world a better place for everybody. And I'm living in the same world with everybody else here.
Yeah.
I want this world to be as amazing as I possibly can help to make it. And the best way to do that is through more economic growth. And the best way to get more economic growth is to have more economic freedom. The best way to have more economic freedom for the world is to build technologies that prevent government from messing in the economy and preventing people from selling their coconuts on the street corner or selling their drugs online or whatever it is that people want to do, so long as it's peaceful, right?
Yeah.
And so like I saw cryptocurrencies as this tool to accelerate the pace of innovation for the entire world, and I can make a bunch of money along the way doing it. So like I did both, right? I did just fine, but like talk about a double motivating factor, right? I can make a bunch of money and make the world a much better place all at the same time.
Yeah.
So like
you can't beat that.
Yeah, you can't exactly. Like there's nothing that you could possibly do to make it better than that. Making the world a much, much better place and making a bunch of money at the same time. There is nothing better than that. Like if there is, I can't think of it. So. Okay.
So what so that from your perspective, right? Let's recap what happened when the Bitcoin Core and the Bitcoin Cash split, right? What did you do? You make efforts to try to keep that together, or was there lots of negotiations going on behind the scene with the major players in the crypto space?
Yeah,
what happened there?
So I guess a lot of people that are in crypto today, because they came later, they don't know. The big blockers were the majority. They had the majority of the hash rate, they had the majority of the community, they had the super majority of the businesses operating on top of it. Mm-hmm. And there was this loud, vocal, very small minority that were opposed to that. And then the compromise that was agreed to with the small minority was this thing called SegWit 2x, which was like segregated witness would be activated, and then 2 megabyte blocks would happen after that. I think it was a disaster to allow those two things to happen at separate times. They should have happened at the exact same time, but I wasn't physically there for that meeting that took place. One of the guys working for me at the time was, and he agreed to that, so like we stuck by that. And what happened is like all the big blockers honorably activated SegWit, just like everybody had agreed to, and like the big block mining hash rate was like 70%, or actually at one point it was like 90% for the SegWit 2x, it was 90+%, but even just big blocks alone already got to be more than 50% at that point. And that's what brought the SegWit people to the bargaining table when they saw they were going to lose the hash rate war, because the majority of the miners were signaling for like, you know, bigger blocks via Bitcoin Unlimited or Bitcoin Classic at that point.
Okay.
Anyhow, SegWit 2x came together, everybody agreed to that. Seemed like the community was in harmony, everything was good, it seemed like it was going to happen. The SegWit portion activated, and then the instant the SegWit portion activated, a whole bunch of people came out of the woodwork saying, we're never going to do the 2x part, we can't do 2x, no, wah, 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 wah. And a bunch of the other businesses got scared by the complaining on social media and backed out from the 2x part. And I had said publicly before that, I said, if you guys that are complaining on social media about the 2x part succeed in like preventing 2x from activating, the 2x portion, I will take all of my time and effort and resources and Bitcoin.com and devote it towards promoting Bitcoin Cash, which had already existed at that point. It had existed for, you know, a couple of months already at that point. And I shall devote all of my time and attention to that, not because I want to make more money, because 1 megabyte crippled Bitcoin can't bring more economic freedom to the world. Like it would take like 100 years to onboard everybody to the Lightning Network in a non-custodial manner with 1 megabyte blocks. Like, I'm already 40. I don't have another 100 years with the current average human lifespan.
So you have like a lot of people that are in crypto, like, the businesses, a lot of the businesses that are in crypto, like to me some of them are what I consider fake crypto companies, because they claim they're a crypto or a blockchain company, but then they won't accept crypto as payment.
That's a fake one.
Yeah,
for sure.
To me that's you're a totally fake ass when you say that. So our business, cryptocurrency.market, we have accepted crypto from the very day one.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we even
the whole
accept.
point of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's
right?
the whole point. You know, like we believe in this technology, we believe in this new cryptocurrency and this new technology. So we even accept Dogecoin. Like we don't care.
If it's money, we'll take it. Right? Yeah.
And the thing is that's interesting to me is that whenever you guys did this, not you guys, but whenever this fork happened, a lot of people would say, hey, you know, you have a lot of businesses that accept crypto payments, and it hurts your business because you're not able to accept crypto payments, Bitcoin payments like you did before, right? And some people might say that you're doing it because of personal financial gains, right? But you weren't the only business that was accepting Bitcoin as payment.
So like
there's a lot of people.
It's more than 100,000 websites right now today accepting crypto for payments. Yeah.
Yeah. So well, okay. So when the payments came along, right? And you guys, when I keep saying you guys, but what I mean is that the
people
split,
using it for payments. Or
the split happened, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel about that when after that happened? Like, were you frustrated? Man, like
I'm still frustrated, right? The split already happened, and I'm still frustrated. Yeah. I think what I feel and felt, the split's already happened, and that's not going back. In my ideal vision of the world, there would not have been a split, and the community would have stayed together. But if a split had to happen, I wish this split had happened much earlier on.
Like, what do you mean? Like into 2014, 2015?
Right? Yeah, I think it should have happened
why
even
is
earlier.
that?
Because like there were several years were wasted of fighting and arguing and this and that, and like it split when the community was already much bigger. And the way the split happened technically, the version that everyone's calling Bitcoin, the BTC version of Bitcoin, after the split, if you look at, like you read the title of the white paper, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, BTC is not being designed to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system.
No, it's not.
Bitcoin Cash is. So even though Bitcoin Cash doesn't have the Bitcoin name and has the minority hash rate, I think a really strong and accurate argument can be made that Bitcoin Cash has more Bitcoin-ness about it than Bitcoin does today. Like Bitcoin may have the Bitcoin name, but read the title of the white paper, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. If you're not trying to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash, you're not Bitcoin in my book. And so all these people that say, oh, Bitcoin Cash is an attack on Bitcoin, if anything, Bitcoin BTC got hijacked, and it's not Bitcoin anymore. It has the Bitcoin name, but it doesn't have any of those characteristics that made Bitcoin popular to begin with. It's not trying to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, which is the very title of the Bitcoin defining white paper. So Bitcoin Cash, I think, has more Bitcoin-ness about it than Bitcoin does. And even Dogecoin, I think you can argue, has more Bitcoin-ness about it.
Well, it kind of sucks because like in 2017, we did a cryptocurrency investing boot camp for all our clients to teach them how to trade and invest in crypto. And when we were doing the security portion and the trade execution portion, we actually could not do it with Bitcoin.
The fees were too high, right?
The fees were too high. It would take forever. And we had no clue when it was going to confirm so that we can explain to our students how to do the computer security correctly. So we had to use Dogecoin as the example because we knew that after
it would work,
and then we would send it and it would actually work, or we'd use Litecoin at that time. And the funny thing was that bothered me was that here we are teaching the
Bitcoin community,
the benefits
how to use
of Bitcoin
Dogecoin and Litecoin.
But we're using Dogecoin and Litecoin as the examples to illustrate what Bitcoin was supposed to do, and that has always bothered me, you know, and it's like
it should.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here telling people like, here's all the qualities.
Here's why Bitcoin's amazing. Try Dogecoin to see an example of how Bitcoin's amazing, right? Like,
yeah, you know. So, okay, so let's fast forward after the fork in 2017. Now, and then by late 2018, what happened with Bitcoin Cash? When I saw that, right? I did not, that's when I started hearing, back then, we were hearing about you and Jihan Wu, the big miner, the Chinese miner from China. But then towards sometime, I can't put an exact date, but sometime in 2018, we started hearing about N-Chain, about Jimmy Wynn, about Craig Wright. You know, I mean, we knew about Craig Wright and the claims that he was Satoshi and everything, but out of nowhere, where did they come into the scene? And now all of a sudden we have Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. Like, was that something that you anticipated or you saw, or did the people in the Bitcoin Cash community see, or was that just out of the left field somewhere?
So the N-Chain guys had reached out to me like a few months before they kind of really publicly came out.
Yeah.
And they invited me to see their office in London. They had I'm sure that office wasn't cheap. They had a fancy office in downtown London with a bunch of people in there.
What's a bunch of people, 100 employees? Or?
When I visited, there weren't 100 there, but there were a couple dozen at least. And I don't know what rents are in downtown London, but they're not cheap. And I'm sure that office was at least tens of thousands of pounds a month. Like it was not a cheap office there. But I feel like there's just been a string of broken promises from those guys over and over, and like from Craig, right? Yeah. Craig and Calvin and N-Chain. Like a lot of people love to hate on SV. Like I'm not one of those. Like I'm anything that's useful, people should be able to use. And if you think SV is useful to you, go ahead and use it. While Craig and Calvin are busy suing me and everybody else, like I'm not going to be in any hurry at all to integrate their SV into anything I'm doing probably ever. Yeah. But if other people want to use it and they don't have a problem with patent trolls
what are they suing you for? Could you share that, or is that personal?
I can share. He's already suing me, so my lawyer will probably be mad if I talk about it at all, but that's okay.
I mean,
the lawyer works for me. I don't work for the lawyer, right?
Okay. So, yeah.
He's suing me for libel or something like that because I said Craig Wright is a liar and a fraud.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think that that's a very controversial statement.
Okay.
But he's suing it, and that's, I guess, one of the problems with lawsuits. You can sue anybody for anything, whether or not it's true.
Okay.
The current status of that lawsuit actually is Craig has lost it, and he was ordered to pay all of my attorney's fees, but he's appealing that. And so I don't want to go too terribly deep into detail because I plan to win the appeal first, and then I'll talk all about it. So.
Okay. So when I first got into Bitcoin in 2013, and when you got into it back in 2011, there was just one Bitcoin community. Like, matter of fact, there was just one crypto community.
Yeah. It wasn't even called crypto. It was
just Bitcoin. Yeah.
And there were all these companies called Bitcoin exchanges. They weren't crypto exchanges. They were Bitcoin exchanges. Coinbase's actual slogan on their website and on their shirts, and they were giving out mouse pads, it said accept Bitcoin, and that was in reference to accept Bitcoin as payment in your business. That was the literal slogan for Coinbase. And then Brian Armstrong had tweeted out, every other cryptocurrency is just a distraction. Bitcoin is too far ahead. We should all be focusing on Bitcoin. And that was the general attitude amongst every business. Everybody until the blocks were allowed to become full. And then everybody like Brian Armstrong and myself and Peter Smith of blockchain, we said, oh no, The blocks are full on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a horrible user experience. A bunch of people went to Ethereum. A bunch of people went to Dash. Later on, a bunch of people went to Bitcoin Cash. Like, they shattered the community by allowing the blocks to become full on Bitcoin.
So what do you think? Like, maybe some people think it's too late now because there's the Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin Cash, and then Bitcoin SV communities, you know. What do you think? Do you think that it could ever come back together as one Bitcoin community? Do you think that's even possible?
I think those days are in the past at this
Or is
point.
that something that everybody just needs to move on and I personally, as a trader, I'll trade anything.
I think
But as a philosophical person or as a I don't know what you would call it.
Philosophically, it would be nice.
Yeah,
I guess,
philosophically,
right?
because I actually enjoyed when I first got into Bitcoin back in 2013.
It was wonderful.
It was wonderful
feeling. It was so
Yeah, because
exciting.
I
The
can
shared
talk to
goal and
you
vision.
about Bitcoins. I can talk to James D'Angelo about Bitcoin. I can talk to Tone Vays, and there was no argument. There was no, like, it was not me against you, you against Tone, Tone against James, or James against Andreas. There was none of that. It was us against the man who was trying to hold us down and censor us and keep, the money printing press is going, and not have to work to print money, and the rest of us have to, and just helping the unbanked and everything. What do you think it would take to? Have you ever tried that? Like, you have enough financial resources. Like, have you ever tried to hey guys, look, we need to sit down and we can keep going like this and keep infighting.
That already happened.
Or we can let's all come together and make this thing work, guys.
That meeting already happened. It happened in Florida at an event called Satoshi Roundtable.
Okay.
And so you had all the Blockstream guys there. You had Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase. You had Peter Smith, the CEO of Blockchain. You had the BitPay guys there, the founders of BitPay. I was there. And basically everybody said, like, hey, the Bitcoin network is about to run out of capacity because more and more people are starting to use Bitcoin. We need more capacity now, not later. You guys can work on all your fancy layer 2 solutions. We have no problem with that whatsoever, but we need more capacity ready today. Let's increase the block size to buy some additional time for you guys to do your other layer 2 stuff. And at the end of that meeting, like, everybody left way more disillusioned and not optimistic on the future of Bitcoin because the small block Bitcoin Core Blockstream guys, they steadfastly said, no, absolutely not. We will not increase the block size.
But what is the financial incentive for them to do this? To this day, I'm not 100% clear because there has to be. I mean, like, if you tell me,
I'll tell you the financial incentive for blockchain. I'm sorry, Blockstream.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to build all these layer 2 solutions and sell people access to their layer 2 solutions. If layer 1 is working great, nobody needs their layer 2 solutions. They can't sell their layer 2 solutions if layer 1 is allowed to continue working great. So they have a financial incentive to make layer 1 not work so that people need to pay them for their layer 2 solutions. That's their financial incentive. So aside from my philosophical motivation, my financial incentive was I owned more Bitcoin than just about anybody in the world, and I owned Bitcoin.com. Of course I want this to be a success. So I fought as hard as I possibly could for both philosophical reasons and financial reasons to make Bitcoin a success. So for anybody to say that I'm attacking Bitcoin, follow the money. Yeah, they're an idiot, right? I had more Bitcoin than just about any, and I still have more Bitcoin than just about any BTC Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
I didn't sell all of it. I still have plenty, right? And that's why I'm still fighting and arguing about this. Like, aside from the philosophical thing, like, man, if Bitcoin wins, if Bitcoin Cash wins, if Ripple wins, if Ethereum wins, like, I'll do just fine financially on all of those. The reason I'm pushing so hard for Bitcoin Cash isn't the money aspect, it's the philosophical aspect, because I think out of Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash and Ripple and Dash, and like I have, a couple, maybe 24 different cryptocurrencies, I think Bitcoin Cash has the best shot at bringing the most economic freedom to the most number of people in the world in the shortest amount of time. And that doesn't mean I don't like Dash and I don't like Ripple and I don't like BTC. I think Bitcoin Cash has the best shot at doing it. That's why I'm busy promoting Bitcoin Cash.
So when you and I are sitting here, in beautiful Ho Chi Minh City right here, talking about Bitcoin Cash and using it as a peer-to-peer electronic cash, your emotions are neutral, my emotions are neutral. We're just, two guys just talking about, crypto and Bitcoin and stuff like that. But like in some of these other interviews and some of these other videos I've seen you in with other guys that are Bitcoin Core maximalists and stuff, like, you guys get heated, man, and get like emotional and stuff, man. You don't think that gives a bad light to Bitcoin Cash when I mean, like, to me, like one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video with you was just to show a neutral perspective and try to get as much facts. Like, I'm not here like people might think that just because I'm talking to you that, hey, I'm here, you know, I'm pushing Bitcoin Cash, or I'm a proponent of Bitcoin Cash, you know. I'm a trader, so I'll trade anything.
Yeah.
Do I have, if you ask me, do I have a holding of Bitcoin Cash? Yeah.
At least 20 bucks worth.
Yeah, we know I got 20 bucks worth, and you know, besides that, I also got a shitload in my hardware wallet. So, but outside of that, man, like from a philosophical perspective, man, I would like to see Bitcoin succeed as a electronic peer-to-peer cash. And I'm always, you know, I guess in my wildest dreams, man, like hope that, man, if there's a way that Bitcoin, like when you and I first got into Bitcoin, people were like, even myself, I was wondering, like, man, is this a scam, or is this gonna like go to zero, or is this gonna go to shit, or what? And fast forward many years later, you and I, and pretty much the whole world now knows that no, this is not a scam.
It's not going away.
This is not going away. This is going to be here. And man, if there was some way that the community can just come together, man, and work together to push this forward instead of all the infighting, I think that we would get adoption so massively. And to hear you say that, hey, we already tried that once at the Satoshi Roundtable and it did not work, you know, it just blows my mind that one mega block was all it took to shatter the Bitcoin community. And sometimes, you know, this might be conspiracy, this might be like straight Alex Jones material here, but it's like
sometimes the conspiracies turn out to be true, though.
Like,
right?
is it possible like the government would send in like a what do you call that? A confederate or a mole,
a secret
agent, you know, in there?
Yeah.
Like, let's stick this secret agent into the Satoshi Roundtable, into the crypto community, and break it up by making them argue, you know, about.
And look what they've done to WikiLeaks.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
like to me, like, this is just so crazy that if you're saying that, hey man, all we need was SegWit plus 2 megabyte blocks to buy us more time,
together,
so that the community stays together, work together, and then we all try to figure out a solution, you know, some type of workable solution to solve this transaction you know, issue, right? It's just so hard for me to imagine that just that one little thing was enough to break and shatter.
And I watched like the negotiations too, from the big block side versus the small block side. And like the negotiations started out like, let's scale to 8 gigabyte blocks.
Yeah.
Right? And then it went down to like, okay, let's scale to like 248, or let's scale, I think it was 16 was the next, or 20 megabytes was the next one.
Yeah.
And then 16 was like, okay, how about 248, 16 over time? And it was, okay, how about 8 megabytes? And then finally, like one of the very last ones, like, okay, let's just do 2 megabytes. And like the entire time, the answer from the small block side was no, no, no. There was zero compromise from the small block side on that. And to think like 1 megabyte blocks is the right amount of block space to produce, like forever, like.
Yeah. So I noticed this. There's these two groups of people in the Bitcoin community. Like, one group appears to be like realistic and like pragmatic, like, hey man, this is the reality, man. Yeah, we need shit that works, right? And then we have this group that's just like, to me, living like in fantasy land. Like to me, like they're not like in reality. Like, for example, like we had the 5-year Saigon Bitcoin meetup here just a week or two ago, and some of the Blockstream guys were there, right? They were not anybody like, you know, any recognizable Blockstream guys. I think they were just regular employees that came and just represented Blockstream. But one of them was talking about, you know, how they got the satellite set up, floating out there, out in space over there, or over there somewhere. I don't know where the fuck it's at, but it's out there somewhere.
And when's the last time anybody used that for anything, right?
And I'm sitting there thinking like, what the fuck is he talking about? Some bullshit satellite in space, man. I just want to fucking pay for my damn water bottle or for my tacos right now. The fuck am I gonna connect that? And I'm sitting there thinking like, and you know, like, I didn't want to be rude because it's not my event. I was invited to be a speaker there, so I didn't want to be rude, but I asked him, you know, like politely, I said, hey man, like, there's like 100 items that's on the Bitcoin list that we can use. Like, there's this, all these things that we can do to get mainstream adoption. Like, I'm sure the satellite, you know, broadcasting blocks from a satellite out in space over there somewhere is somewhere on that list, but would it safe to say that it's not like in the top 10 most critical things that we need to gain mainstream adoption of Bitcoin? And his response is like, well, we got to consider the edge cases, or and I was like, what the hell is an edge case? Like and he's like, far-fetched, you know, things that are like way out there that could possibly happen. And I'm like, dude, like,
Did you not notice what actually did happen with the shattering of the community?
Yeah,
and the horrible user experience that Bitcoin had. That wasn't an edge case. That's exactly what
yeah,
happened.
and I'm thinking like,
he's focused on this other stuff over here.
Like, do you worry about some bullshit up there, satellite out in the clouds somewhere, you know? And like, why don't we focus on getting it so that people can easily download the wallet, install it, and make transactions with it? And to me, that's what
that's what Bitcoin.com is doing. You saw how easy that wallet was to download.
I can't deny it. It just happened right in front of me.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just saying, like, how did we come to this point in crypto land where we have a group of people that just can't see the reality? Like they can't see what's happening in front of them, that, hey man, like, this is too complicated for the end user to use.
Yeah, it's like, and sometimes people that are really, really, really smart in one specific area are absolute idiots in other areas, and I think that's what we've seen with Bitcoin.
You know, because I know that this is happening because when I hire the software engineers here in Vietnam to build our crypto indexes and our trading software, like I'll tell them, hey man, just do it like this, and yeah, just do it like this, and they're like, and when they show me the software, it's like completely different from what I asked them to do. And I said, why did you? Well, this works better because, you know, it calculates this, it does this, it rings the bell, it knocks on the door, and then it, you know, combs your hair, whatever the shit that they're trying to do. I'm like, dude, I just need it simple so that people don't have to add, you know, mentally in their head, so they don't have to add these numbers together. I just want the answer right here for them, you know, and it just blows them away, you know, like they're trying to make it
simple and easy for people to use when I can make it really complicated and hard. Yeah.
I think I think we have a situation in crypto land where these engineers, they think that by making things complicated, that it makes them look smarter or more skillful or more or better engineers, or I don't know what the hell it is, but I know one thing, man. If you don't make it simple, ain't nobody gonna use it.
Bingo. It has to be. It has to be easier and more convenient than whatever people are using currently. So it doesn't just have to be easy. It has to be way easier than, you know, whatever Visa card or PayPal account people are using currently.
I have my my Vietnamese bank is across the street. Behind this tower right here. When we came in, we saw it, and it's called Vietcom Bank. And at Vietcom Bank,
they're gonna close your account now.
Well, I hope not, man. But if they do, you know, I mean, they're only going to close a small fraction because most of it's in hardware wallets. Most of my wealth are in hardware wallets, okay? So, but what I'm saying is that, like, even with all the capital controls that the Communist Party puts on people's accounts here and the restrictions that they put, it's still easier for me to use the Vietnamese dong with the bank's credit card or the bank's debit card than it is for me to use Bitcoin Core. And not just that, but some of these other cryptocurrencies out there too. And I don't see how you are going to get a country of 100 million people like this to adopt cryptocurrencies
when it's harder to use than the bank.
Yeah, when they have some of the strictest capital controls on their money, on my money, and it's still easier to use than the Bitcoin Core system. So I don't know, you know. Now, you are one of the what they consider the old timers in Bitcoin, and you are, you know, what do you call that? Voicing your opinion fairly loud online about it, right? But offline, I meet other, you know, hardcore Bitcoin guys from the old days that feel the same way you do.
They're scared to speak out.
But they're scared to speak up about this.
Almost all the old timers.
Now, why is that? Why is that?
Because they get attacked so viciously. So, like, I'll tell a little bit of a story about this. There was the @Bitcoin Twitter handle.
Yeah.
And for a long time, it was tweeting a bunch of pro Bitcoin Cash stuff.
Yeah.
And the guy that used to own that was involved since 2009.
Yeah.
Right. So that's way older than me, right?
Yeah.
And he's a giant Bitcoin Cash supporter today because he got involved because he wanted this to be peer-to-peer cash for the world. And so, like, he was fine with the Twitter account promoting all that, but he didn't want anybody to know who he actually was because he saw how I got attacked so viciously for saying this, and he didn't want to have to deal with any of that in his life. And I don't blame people one bit for not wanting to deal with any of that sort of stuff. It's not fun to have to deal with that. So there's all these people out there that, like, think that Bitcoin should be peer-to-peer cash, and the early Bitcoiners feel that way, but they don't say it very loud, if at all, because they don't want to deal with the crap. Like, they're, like, you know, CTOs of other major, some of the biggest cryptocurrency companies, if not the biggest in the world, saying, like, Roger, keep doing what you're doing. Sorry, I'm not speaking out, like, with you because I don't want to deal with that crap, but keep going, and I appreciate and support you. And there's been more people than I can count like that, and almost the vast majority of the early Bitcoin people.
So what happened to that
cash.
Twitter handle @Bitcoin?
So sadly, like the guy, he was an early Bitcoin adopter, but he had been hacked and lost most of his early crypto.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a whole lot of money, and he needed money, and so he sold it recently. And then the person he sold it to basically deceived him as to how it was going to be used.
Yeah,
and it
I
turned
saw
into
that.
a big giant troll account.
Yeah.
So that's what happened there. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because some people at that time, a lot of people thought that you had bought out that account, and I didn't.
Never owned the account. No,
Yeah.
never.
Because I figured if you own it, I don't see why you
I'd
would.
say it.
Yeah.
To be honest, like the price was way too high that it wound up selling for. But like that would have been a great addition to match that with Bitcoin.com. You have the Twitter
Yeah.
account and the thing, but like,
Yeah.
no, it's too much.
Okay. So now, recently, right? Or who is doing most of the development right now on Bitcoin Cash?
There's a whole bunch of different.
Is
development
it
teams, so.
mostly from your funding or from just around the world?
There's a bunch. So we held a fundraiser on Bitcoin.com a couple of months ago to raise development funds for various Bitcoin Cash full node implementations. And I think we raised like $400,000 in the course of a couple of weeks, just grassroots from the community.
Yeah.
People that donated the money, and then Bitcoin Unlimited has an endowment of a bunch of money from early on as a big block supporter. So there's a bunch of different money out there. And
So what about the
Bitcoin.com? We're doing our share as well, but there's a bunch of outside.
So I heard about this $200 million development fund or whatever. Where's that coming from? Who's in charge of that?
Part of that's our money, and then part of it's going to be a bunch of institutional money as well. And that'll be we'll start making the investments in Q1 of next year, which is coming up real soon.
So when you say part of that is our money, are you talking about
that's
like
my money.
your money personally, or is that the company money, or is that the community money?
I own 100% of Bitcoin.com, so it's kind of the same.
Oh,
thing
okay.
in that
So
sense.
I didn't know that. Okay, I thought there might be other.
We don't
business
publish
funds.
the cap table public on the website.
Okay.
There's one person on the cap table. So.
Okay, it's you. Okay, so what inspired you to put this $200 million fund together to do development?
I want to bring peer-to-peer cash to the entire world, right? So this is the way to do it.
So and you're putting your money where your mouth is at.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right. So if there are people out there listening right now that want to help with the project, what type of talent or what type of skill are you looking for to help out with this?
With Bitcoin Cash or the fund, or either one?
No, just Bitcoin Cash, the fund, just anything, anything.
There was a great quote from Gavin Andrees in the early days in the beginning of Bitcoin. It said something along the lines of like, if you're interested in Bitcoin, what are you waiting for? Do you need an invitation from somebody? Like, just look at something that needs doing and go out there and do it. And I think that's a good attitude. So look at the Bitcoin Cash community, see something that needs doing, and get out there and do it. So
okay.
And if you're not sure what to do yourself, then apply for a job at some company that's building on Bitcoin Cash as well.
Okay.
So.
The reason why I'm asking you that is because, like, like in the American culture, like we have this individual mentality or the culture of individualism where we'll go out there and try something new, right? But in Asia, it's more of a collective.
A little bit. There's definitely a bit more.
Yeah, there's
everyone
more,
else is doing it. I got to do it too, right?
Yeah, but also there's also a collective mentality where if someone's not doing it, then they don't want to be the first one
to do it either.
Yeah, exactly. So for those people who are listening or watching and they're interested in helping out with Bitcoin Cash, right, in some capacity, like where's the best place for them to go to see what if they're new and they just don't know what needs to be done and they might have the talent for it? Where's the best place to go see?
Everybody has different talents. So one of my favorite places in the US, there's a website called purse.io where you can save like 20% off every purchase from Amazon by using Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah.
So even if you're paying like an extra 5% on local.bitcoin.com to buy Bitcoin Cash, if you're saving 20% on Amazon, the net savings still like fantastic. So just like, I would like to see more people take the dollars or the fiat money that they would normally be using to make their purchases in life, take those dollars to buy Bitcoin Cash, and then use the Bitcoin Cash to buy whatever it is that they need to buy. And that's how you can really get people to actually start using this in commerce, because that's what drives the long-term value of a cryptocurrency is the amount of people using it in actual commerce to buy and sell things. This whole narrative that something can be a store of value without having some secondary use case out of it is like, it's like believing in Santa Claus. Like, it's just not real. So in order for something to be a store of value, it has to have an additional use case.
Okay. Yeah, because you have a lot of people saying that in 2017, and then after the bear market in 2018, a lot of these Bitcoin Core maximalists that was, talking shit about Bitcoin Cash, all of a sudden they switched up, and now they're not even with Bitcoin Core no more. You know, what's your thoughts on that? Like these guys that were trolling you, these goddamn fake ass hypocrites.
Now they're doing Ethereum ICOs.
Yeah, like the fucking idiots over there at Magical Crypto, Fluffy Pony,
or whatever, yeah.
like Samson Mao from Blockstream, Charlie Lee, and all these guys. You know, like they were talking shit about you and Bitcoin Cash and everything, and now.
I drove more cryptocurrency adoption than I think all of those guys combined, so I'm not too worried about their trash talking.
You know, like a bunch of fucking fake ass hypocrites, man. But what's your thoughts on this wave of Bitcoin Core, these fake ass Bitcoin Core maximalists that were trolling you and hammering you hard during 2017? Now we find out they're a bunch of freaking hypocrites. You know, like Kevin Pham, that other Vietnamese guy. I'm ashamed to even say that he's Vietnamese because he's like one of the biggest goddamn.
What's he doing now? I haven't heard what he's up to.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, okay.
But he's a fake ass. He's bullying people online.
Cyberbullying, yeah. There's a lot of those. So.
And then now, you know, he's like, oh, you know, like. To me, the part that is funny is this: is like all these guys that were talking shit back then. And now they say, oh, you know, Bitcoin Core can't do this or it can't do this, and that's why we have to support this, you know, this altcoin or whatever. Then my question, my thought is like, so you really didn't understand about what Bitcoin was all about back then. So you had no clue back then. So you're over here bullying people online, but you really didn't have no clue because now you're supporting some garbage coin or like to me the worst one I think is right now as we're making this video is Richard Hart, you know, Dick Hart, right? In my opinion, what Dick is doing out there, right? And by the way, guys, in case English is not your primary language, in America, when somebody's name is Richard, you know,
Dick is short for Richard.
Dick, the name Dick means penis, but it's also the what we call people whose name is Richard. Okay, so I'm not saying that to be derogatory, you know, but I am saying that to be derogatory, okay? Because this guy, to me, you know, is one of the absolute worst. He should win the gold medal in being a fake-ass Bitcoin maximalist, you know, because...
Really?
Oh, absolutely. You know somebody
how many months was he working on his Ethereum project while still making his videos with Bitcoin maximalism?
Yeah, exactly.
Points, right?
You know, like
Hex wasn't born overnight. I'm sure he was working on that for, you know, months, if not years.
Exactly. You know, and to me, like the whole time that he was working on this behind the scenes in front of camera, he's telling everybody that Bitcoin, you know, is the hot stuff. Everything else is bullshit. And then when he lost all of his Bitcoins that he didn't sell, when it went up to $20,000 and or whatever the problem was, right? And now he's coming out with his own, you know, crap coin. And to me, you know, one thing that I gotta respect is at least whatever your opinion was, you voiced it so everybody knew what it was. There's no confusion. There's no confusion that, you know, that you're a big fan of Bitcoin, and then, you know, you also mentioned about you helping to start Ripple and other projects and things like that. So that's never been an issue.
From day one, yeah.
But it's with these jackass hypocrites that I think that's in crypto that I think is the ones that is really a cancer to the community. And you know, I just realized something. You know, I was talking about you being emotional in some of these other videos.
You're feeling a little emotional now, yeah.
And then,
it's a passionate subject, though, right? Because
it's to me, it's like these guys are bullshitters. They're hypocrites, and the community doesn't know that.
The community's been bamboozled by a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and you know. Yeah, and they got the bait and switch, you know, and to me, these guys that claimed to be Bitcoin Core maximalists in 2017, you know, when Bitcoin was at, you know, $20,000, and then now,
to be maximalist,
yeah, and now they're a bunch of fake asses. You know, that's why that I told you this offline that I'm good friends with Tone Vays. I hate to see you guys argue and debate this stuff, man, because I remember a time when both you guys.
I like
We're
Tone.
supporters.
Like Tone,
I can
gladly go to dinner with Tone and have dinner with Tone, no problem at all. Samson, I don't find enjoyable in person.
No, I think he's a fucking weasel. You know, I'll probably throw a beer can in his face or some shit. You know, but anyways, especially all those clowns over there at the Whale Panda and Charlie and all the guys. To me,
I'm with you on that.
To me, you know, if they would have just opened their mouth and said, "Hey guys, we're talking shit about this Ethereum, but just so you guys know." Right?
We're investing in Ethereum over here.
We're pushing, you know, $1.4 million into it, just so you guys know that, okay? Just full disclosure. I would have no grounds to say what I'm saying
Except
today.
They were totally hiding it the whole time, trashing it all day.
Exactly. You know, and to me, that's just a bunch of fake-ass hypocrites, you know? So let's talk about this you're doing a meetup tomorrow
Yeah, tomorrow.
in Ho Chi Minh City.
There's another little piece of history that I think people
Okay.
probably won't know about. So we're asking, like, would governments disrupt this? So I remember in 2011,
Yeah.
in June, Bitcoin in the course of a couple of weeks went from like $2 a Bitcoin to $30 a Bitcoin.
I remember that.
For the first time. And the only discussion place where people were talking about Bitcoin back then was bitcointalk.org.
Yeah.
And right when that happened and Bitcoin was all over the worldwide media and it went to $30 for the first time, the forums just got flooded with these brand new accounts that nobody knew, and they were just basically posting gibberish, and they made the forums unusable so people could no longer have discussions. So like in 2011, there were already like psyops,
Outside forces?
outside forces disrupting the discussion about Bitcoin at the time when everyone wanted to discuss Bitcoin the most because it was in the media and the price had gone to 30 bucks.
You know,
for the
it's
first time.
interesting.
2011.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because it's going to be hard for me to believe that that comes from within the Bitcoin community.
Absolutely from
Because at
outside
that
the
time, the
community.
Bitcoin community was so
Yeah.
strong
It was
and
from
so
outside.
solid. Yeah, that had to be
Absolutely
outside
from
forces.
outside.
And
And remember, in 2010,
yeah,
the CIA was already watching Bitcoin and it invited Gavin to present on Bitcoin in
Yeah.
2010. So if the CIA was watching from 2010, you better believe whatever government spook agencies were ready by 2011, right?
Okay. Speaking of Gavin, you since you brought this up, right? You know him more than I do. I haven't
Yeah.
met him in person before, right? Now let's. There was a huge controversy when he went to go see Craig Wright, and he claimed that Craig Wright was Satoshi.
Yeah.
Where did he get that? What did he? I mean, you guys must have spoken about that,
Yep,
discussed
we did.
that. Well, what happened there that prompted him to say that? Because I asked you that because every video that I watched of him, because he used to be one of the videos I
Gavin?
watched, because he was
Great.
he was great at explaining Bitcoin. And the one thing that I liked about how he explained Bitcoin,
So calm.
he was calm, but always tried to explain from a neutral perspective, and not try to
Pump it.
Sway your opinion one way or the other. I like the way he tried to present the data as neutral as he can. Like sometimes I have a hard time doing that, but like he tries to make it so neutral so that you make the decision on what Bitcoin is, what it's good for, and how if you should support it or not. So what happened there? What prompted him to come out and say that?
Yeah, so my understanding of the story is that Craig contacted Gavin at some point and said, hey, I'm Satoshi, I'm the guy you've been talking to. They exchanged a number of emails, and like, I'm sure, like, I get people contacting me basically weekly claiming to be Satoshi, like people other than Craig contact me claiming they're Satoshi, and like most of them are just crazy people. Most of them I just kind of like, okay, buddy, good luck, right? And I'm sure if I got that many, I'm sure Gavin got a similar or greater amount of people contacting him claiming to be Satoshi. But this one guy, Craig, contacted him, and apparently they exchanged a number of emails. And after a number of emails, Craig had convinced Gavin enough that he was the same person that was Satoshi, that Gavin agreed to fly from his home near Boston out to London to meet Craig in person. And they met in person and talked a bunch in person, and then Craig, using supposedly a brand new computer, signed with keys from the first couple of Bitcoin blocks in front of Gavin, so Gavin saw it with his own eyes, but Craig said he wouldn't let him actually have copies of the signatures to go and post online or let other people take a look at. And so and one of them or both of them wrote a blog post saying, Craig is Satoshi, and Craig had said he was going to release the keys to the whole world in like 72 hours or something. So the 72 hours came and went, and then Craig released another blog post saying, sorry, I just can't do it. I'm not going to do it. The pressure's too much or something like that, which absolutely damaged Gavin's reputation. And basically Craig just completely threw Gavin under the bus on that. The Bitcoin core maximalists use that as an excuse to pretend that Gavin's account must have been hacked or whatever, and they removed Gavin's commit access to the GitHub repository.
So he could no longer update the Bitcoin Core software?
And they did the same thing to Jeff Garzik, who was another early Bitcoiner. And the only reason they removed Jeff Garzik's access because he was a big blocker, right? Like they were zero suspicion that his account had been hacked. Like at least with Gavin, they thought, oh, we think your account's been hacked, so we're going to remove your access. And they should have restored it after they found out his account hadn't been hacked, but instead they never did that. And for Jeff, they just
when you say they, who is they? Who is the individual?
I think Greg Maxwell and like Luke Jr. maybe.
Luke Dash Jr.?
Yeah, Luke Dash Jr.
But those guys work for Blockstream.
Yeah, these are the Blockstream guys. So all the Blockstream guys kicked out Gavin and Jeff Garzik. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Craig never released the proof, and then that severely damaged Gavin's reputation. I talked to Gavin about it on the phone later, and I said, like, why didn't Craig follow through? He's like, I don't know. And I said, like, he just absolutely threw you under the bus. Why would he do that? And Gavin's like, I don't know. And I asked Gavin, I said, do you think you were fooled? And he said, I don't think I was fooled. Like, and it's possible Craig is like David Copperfield, right? And fooled Gavin. Maybe he is, right? Like, both are pretty wild things to think. Like, either Craig is an amazing like magician and fooled Gavin and fooled a couple of other people with similar magic tricks, or Craig somehow played a role in the creation of Bitcoin and somehow has those keys. Like, either of those are really wild, hard to believe things. And at this point,
it's hard to believe because Gavin Andreessen is
such a level-headed guy,
and he's a very technical engineer. I mean, like I don't know. I think it's easy to fool me technically, but someone at his caliber and his skill level, I don't think
harder
that's
to fool.
Yeah. But okay.
And so at this point, like, I don't know, either of those claims would be pretty wild. Like, Craig is an amazing magician, or Craig played some role in the creation of Bitcoin. Like, both of those are pretty wild things. And at this point, I just plain don't know what the truth is there.
Have you ever sat down with Craig Wright and said, hey man, what's the story here, man? What's going on, man?
So my relationship with him nowadays isn't so great.
Yeah, but because of the lawsuits, but even before then.
But even it was never that great. Like, he's kind of a prickly, difficult to deal with person, like, from day one. But like, super smart guy, super knowledgeable about a whole bunch of different things. Like, interesting guy to talk to, but not a friendly, fun guy. He's not the type of guy you're gonna like, hey, let's go out to the nightclub tonight and like have some beers at the like bar. Like, he's not that type of guy at all.
Okay. Like, in your interactions too.
Calvin's fun.
Calvin
Ayre's fun.
Yeah.
Craig is not fun. So.
Hey, well, I saw a tweet a few days ago where Calvin tweeted out. He said that, hey man, if Roger wants to support Bitcoin SV or something, we're happy to have him. What's that all about? Is he reaching out like a what do you call that? An olive
branch,
leaf, an olive branch to bring peace to you guys? Or
I don't know. Not. He's still suing me. So like, a lot of people don't know this. Calvin's the one behind all the lawsuits for Craig. So like, it's Craig's name on the lawsuits, but Calvin's the one dealing with the lawyers and pulling all the strings for the lawsuits. So like, while Calvin's still busy suing a bunch of people, he's like extending all branches at the same time. Like,
so
it's a snake thing.
Is Calvin like he's one
but
of the big?
At least he's fun if you hang out with him at night. Like, I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is he like? How did he? Was he one of the? He's one of the biggest Bitcoin miners right now, right?
Yeah, so he clearly bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin mining hardware, and that hardware can mine Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, or BTC. It can mine any of those, right?
Isn't he buying it from your friend Jihan Wu?
I think he bought most of it from him. So that's another hypocrite. Let's talk about hypocrites one more thing there. You got me right up. So like, all these in-chain BSV like zealots are all claiming Roger rented a hash rate, he's renting a hash rate, renting hash rate, and they're complaining about it. Craig and InChain and all those guys contacted me at Bitcoin.com before BSV had split, wanting to rent our hash rate. And we said, sure, we'll rent you the hash rate, here's the price. And they were contacting everybody, asking to rent a hash rate. And maybe they did rent some hash rate. They didn't wind up renting any from us, but they were out there trying to rent a hash rate.
Yeah.
And then they're complaining that other people rented a hash rate. And for the record, I didn't rent any hash rate. Like, that was all hash rate from somebody that supported the Bitcoin Cash version of Bitcoin and wasn't excited about InChain taking over the whole path and future development of Bitcoin. So.
Okay, so it doesn't look like there's any.
But a bunch of hypocrites for the people complaining about renting hash rate on the BSV side.
Yeah. So what's the future of Bitcoin Cash that you see from your perspective today? Like, is there any? What are you guys doing to prevent like a future fork or anything like that from happening?
What's the future of Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah.
The short answer is I don't know, because I'm not in control of it. But for the amount of influence that I do have, I want this to become peer-to-peer cash for the world, in which anyone, anywhere can use it to send or receive any amount of money with anyone and not need permission from anybody else. That's been my goal since 2011, and I see Bitcoin Cash as the best tool to achieve that goal today. And that's where I'll be pushing and steering Bitcoin Cash towards. And if I'm not able to do that, or if it looks like it's heading somewhere else, I'll take a look at what's out there in the currency sphere and pick the next best project to achieving peer-to-peer cash for the world, and I'll be focusing on promoting that one.
Well, and so speaking of promoting, right? You're having a Bitcoin Cash meetup here in Vietnam
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night,
Yeah.
Right, in Ho Chi Minh City here.
So I didn't organize that. So actually, the local Bitcoin community people organized that, I think. So the Bitcoin Vietnam, Dominique, and some other people, I think, were the organizers of that. And then Liquid, which is one of the bigger exchanges here in Asia, as well. They're hosting that. So
okay.
I just agreed to show up. That was the.
Okay,
was
so
all
are you going to have the meetup at the Liquid office?
I think it's at the Liquid office
in District 1
Yeah.
in downtown Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's free for the people to attend. It's
I think you probably know more than I do at this point, so I'm not sure.
And okay, are you the only speaker there, or
I think they have.
Because the reason I'm asking, I just found out about this last night.
Let me Google it and see what it says.
Yeah,
on the meetup page.
I'll get the information from you afterwards, and from your assistants, and I'll put it in the description.
I think they have
below.
the CEO of Liquid, and maybe the Dominique, who's the founder of Bitcoin Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. So the Liquid ex CEO, and my slow roaming internet here. So. Yeah. Anyhow, if you're in town and you hear about it in time, join
Okay.
us. So.
Yeah, I'll try to get this uploaded ASAP after this, and then I'll put the description in the
Link in the description.
yeah, the links in the description. You guys can go and check it out.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like nowadays, right? You know, you're fortunate to have reached financial freedom early. You know, I want to talk a little bit about the trading, investing, and entrepreneurship, because that's what this channel is about. Also, you know, so our viewers can benefit from your past, you know, investing and entrepreneurship experience. So, when you originally got into Bitcoin back when in 2011, did you do it as a investing perspective for reasons, or did you do it like, hey, I'm just going to support this project because I believe it's going to change the world, or was it a combination of both?
It was the second, it was absolutely a philosophical motivation.
Yeah.
Plus, I can make money at the same time, so it's like 2 for 1. So,
Okay.
But it was the philosophical motivation that motivated me without any doubt, and you can see part of that in the fact that so I had some very strong voluntarist, libertarian political feelings, but got tossed in jail over them previously, and I was silent. I'd never said anything about politics to anybody from the time I got out of jail until the time Bitcoin came along. And then I saw Bitcoin as this tool to be like kryptonite to the states. And then I started saying all this libertarian stuff again and telling people, hey, look at Bitcoin. This is this tool that we can use to shrink the control that government gets to have over people around the world. Mm-hmm. And that's dangerous, right? Look at what happens to people that speak out against governments trying to control people. Bad things happen to them.
That didn't concern you back then?
Of course, it concerns me to this very day, right? But it seemed too exciting and too important to the world to just hide in my hole and not point out to the world, hey, Bitcoin is here. Bitcoin can make the world better for every single person on the planet by empowering individuals. And just like Edward Snowden, he knew how dangerous it was going to be to tell the world about how the government's spying on everybody, but he did it anyhow because it was the right thing to do, to let the world know about that. Just like Julian Assange, he knew running WikiLeaks was really dangerous. When you speak truth to power, bad things happen to you. And I knew it was really dangerous for me to get involved in Bitcoin and promote it, and bad things may come my way because of it, but it was still the right thing to do, and I won't regret it for 1 second.
So speaking of regret, right? The people that promoted Bitcoin and evangelized Bitcoin in the early days, like what you did, and nowadays they're turning away from you because you support Bitcoin being a peer-to-peer electronic cash, and
They're
they don't.
Hypocrites.
Yeah, what happens when you see them at the conferences now? Can they look you in the eye and what is it awkward now, or what? Because you guys used to speak at the same conferences and promote Bitcoin together, and now.
The one that probably hurts the most is Charlie Shrem, right? So I was his first and basically only investor. Right, I invested 120 grand, I think it was, into BitInstant when nobody else would.
Okay.
Right, and then I helped him grow the company when I was doing everything I could to help him support that. Mm-hmm. And then he destroyed the company by doing stupid stuff. What he did wasn't morally wrong, but from a business standpoint, what the hell? What an idiotic thing to do. Yeah. And his other investors that had been invested for a couple of maybe a month at the time. When Charlie got arrested, they threw him under the bus, and it was the Winklevoss twins said, "Oh, we support law enforcement, and we support the police. Go get them." and I said like, what Charlie did was, he helped people. He's accused of helping people who might have, helped people buy drugs, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the police, law enforcement, and judges and prosecutors that are trying to send Charlie to jail that are the ones that are doing something wrong. It's not Charlie. So like, I'm the one who stood up for Charlie there. And then, so Charlie missed like the whole kind of scaling debate and the censorship while he's in jail. And when he got out of jail, he chose being popular rather than doing what was right. And so Charlie's now this like Bitcoin Core troll on social media. He's blocked me on Twitter.
But how?
That
but
hurts.
you were an early investor
I was
in his
first
business.
Investor, yeah. And then like I heard through the grapevine, I assume it's true. Like Charlie, I loaned him money to go to get a prison consultant guy to get sent to like a right camp and not get sent to a USP or some.
Yeah.
Not that he was going to get sent to a USP, but like.
Yeah.
If you're going to prison, if you have choice as to which prison you want to go to, a good one rather than a bad one. And so I gave him, I think it was like $5,000 or $10,000 or something like that to hire. He claimed he was out of money and he wanted to hire that to get sent to like the good prison. So I gave him that, and like I assumed it was basically a gift. And Charlie's like, no. I want to, it has to be a loan. All right, write up the document, right? And of course, like. This is when Bitcoin was, I don't know, $100 or $200 or something like that. So he like denominates the loan in dollars, which like, okay, whatever. Like I was fine with it being a gift.
Yeah.
And I was planning never ever to ask for the money back ever. But then he gets out of jail and then he starts telling lies about me, he claimed I was spending $500,000 a month to support Bitcoin Unlimited. This is before the Bitcoin Cash fork had happened. And he's just saying all these lies, damaging like me and my business and my support to try and make Bitcoin be peer-to-peer cash for the world. And he's perfectly entitled to his opinions. He can do whatever he wants in regards to that, but he shouldn't be doing that while he owes me money. So I started emailing him and saying, hey Charlie, why don't you pay me back the money you owe me? Here's an address to pay me back. And like, oh, I'll pay you back next week, or I'll have some money next week I can pay you back. And like, I emailed him maybe 6 or 10 times over the course of 6 or 10 months.
Yeah.
And then one night, it's 2 a.m. in Tokyo, and I'm surfing Twitter, and I see him trolling away against Bitcoin being peer-to-peer cash on Twitter, and I get mad. So like I think I tweeted at him or something on Twitter. I very rarely tweet like at people or anything on that. I usually just say what my thoughts are the day. And I said like, hey Charlie, how about you pay me back the money that you owe me? And he's like, you could have asked me privately, I would have paid you back right away. You don't have to ask on Twitter. So then I tweeted a reply with the screenshots, and like it just so happened one of my emails to him from like months earlier saying, Charlie, this is the 6th time I've asked you, and like, where's my money? And so I put that on Twitter, and then what was his response? His response was to block me on Twitter, all right? Because like I put the truth out there, and he blocked me on Twitter. And then I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, he was asking me I guess he started some podcast or something or other, and like he asked me to come on this podcast, and like, I'm really generous with my time about going on people's podcasts. Like I'll try and make time to do it for just about anybody. But I told Charlie, like, sorry, Charlie, like I'm not interested in going on your podcast. Like your bridge has kind of been, burnt with me. Like I wish you good luck in the future. Like I don't have bad, like ill will feelings towards you, but like I don't need to go out of my way to help you with your podcast at this point when you went out of your way to damage, my goal of making Bitcoin peer-to-peer cash for the world. You intentionally hampered that, and now you want me to like help you with your podcast? Like, sorry, I'm not interested. Like, I wish you and your wife and your family, like, good luck for the rest of the world in the future, but like, you're not the type of person I need in my life. And it's like, that's the one that I guess kind of hurts a little bit, because like, I literally tried to help this guy get, with his business, and I loaned him money to BitInstant, like it's separate from the investment. I lost 100% of my investment, so I lost $120,000 investment in BitInstant back when Bitcoins were like in the single digits. Like if I had put that money directly into Bitcoin, how many hundreds of millions of dollars?
Load.
Yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars it would have been today, right?
Yeah. So, on top of that, besides the BitInstant investment, right, you also invested, you were one of the early investors in the Kraken, the huge Kraken exchange?
I think I'd have to check my records, but I'm pretty sure I was the first investor in Kraken.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then blockchain.info?
Yep, I'm 100% for sure I was the first investor in Blockchain Info. It was a one-man show being run by this kid up in the UK. I was the first customer support person at Blockchain.info. I was helping with the customer support back in like 2012. So.
All right, and then also with Ripple?
Yep.
I'm listing this, right, because these are huge winners.
Yeah.
Huge winners.
I was the first, so Jed's wanted to start it, and he came to me, and I said, okay, let's do it. So technically, I was the second person ever involved in blockchain.info, the second person ever involved in Ripple. I don't know if I think Jesse had his co-founder, so I was probably like the third person in Kraken.
Yeah.
I was certainly one of the very first investors there. So yeah.
But you still have shares
in all of these, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was probably the third person at BitPay, maybe. Like, so there were the two founders, Tony and Steven, and then I was like, one of their very first investors there as well. So yeah.
Okay, so talk about this. Like, how did you see? Did you see in these guys that
I picked a lot of losers too. So
okay,
you're mentioning all the winners,
well,
right?
I don't know the losers.
Nobody knows the losers, right? Because they're gone now.
So talk about it so that people know, because they only see you as like, oh man, he can pick all these winning companies, right?
I
Besides BitInstant.
Yeah, BitInstant was one loser. CoinLab was another one.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, CoinLab was started by this guy, Peter Vicinis. Wow, so if there's one thing the cryptocurrency community should get riled up about, so Peter Vicinis is the reason the Mt. Gox payment hasn't been sent out to all the trustees. He's suing Mt. Gox for, I don't know, $16 billion or some just insane amount. It's like, I think it's some number of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's why the liquidator hasn't been able to liquidate and pay back
this lawsuit is done.
This guy, yeah. Because he had some deal to try and take over Mt. Gox and be the U.S. branch of Mt. Gox. And it's just absolutely insane that he thinks that he should get money back before the actual people that had money on deposit at Mt. Gox. And another thing I'm really pissed off about all these core maximalists is twisting what I said. Like, of course I regret having made that video for Mt. Gox, but at the time I made the video, the only thing people were worried about Mt. Gox were fiat withdrawals. Nobody was worried about Bitcoin withdrawals at all. They were only worried about fiat, and I saw with my own eyes the letter from the bank saying that they can only send $1 million a day in payments out. That's not enough. So like, 100% for sure, everything I said in the video was true at the time. I said, I regret having made it, but I hate all these people saying, I said Mt. Gox was solvent. Like, I was very clear never to say anything about Mt. Gox solvency because I had no idea. I didn't audit their books. Yeah. All I saw is they had over $100 million cash in the bank and people complaining about them not getting their dollars. Nobody were even complaining about Bitcoin at that point. So all these Bitcoin core trolls saying, Roger said Mt. Gox was solvent. I never said that. Anybody that says that I said that's a liar, and they're intentionally twisting the truth, or they've been fooled by people who twisted the truth.
I ended up buying like 20 Bitcoins worth indirectly from Mt. Gox.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you buy Bitcoins indirectly from?
Well, it's
through
somebody,
a friend's account?
No. Somebody was couldn't get it out, so I bought it like cents on the dollar through Bitcoin Builder.
Yeah, so I remember that.
Yeah, so
so I came in within an inch. I offered to pay. It's been a long time now, but I think I offered to pay like 50 cents on the dollar for a huge amount, like $10 million claim or some huge claim of Bitcoins, or I forget the exact amounts now because it's been a long time. And I figure maybe they don't have all the Bitcoins, but there's no way they have less than half. I thought there's no way they have less than half. And luckily the other guy said no, half is too low. He was trying to get more than that, so he didn't buy the claim. But like, man, well, I dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, I ended up buying it. Some of you see. So I still technically, I still have 20 Bitcoins at Mt. Gox.
The claim,
Yeah, but I don't know when I'm ever gonna. I just wrote it.
Someday.
Yeah.
There's a company in San Francisco that's going around buying people's claims for like 15% of the claim or something like that. Or I'm sorry, Mt. Gox supposedly, like the trustee has like 15% of the Bitcoins. Yeah. They'll pay you they're offering 70%. Of the 15%.
Mine has to go through Bitcoin Builder, so I can't.
So I don't have even more messy.
Yeah, it's even messier than the bankruptcy stuff. But anyways, so what were some? Can you share like some like 2 or 3 things, key points that you're looking for in the talent behind the companies that you're investing in? So our viewers will know, hey, look, if I see things like this.
So entrepreneurship is so important, right? So any business is anywhere, no matter what it is, it's moving things from where they're worth less to where they're worth more. Yeah. Whether that's physical products or whether that's like human know-how and expertise. And so I try and look for businesses that are making things that are actually going to be useful to people in their actual lives. So one of my favorite ones is
fucking bullshit satellites out in space.
Not BS satellites in space. Exactly.
Broadcasting some block datas.
Right, and so like that's the thing. Like Blockstream, like what customers do they have at this point? Like basically nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I look for businesses that are making things like BitPay, right? They enabled like 100,000 businesses to accept cryptocurrency payments, right? So Kraken, they allow people all over the world to buy and sell cryptocurrency in and out of their fiat currencies. Purse.io I love because it allows people to save a bunch of money on Amazon, or allows people that have Amazon store credit that's illiquid to turn it into something liquid. Like I love all of these things that are actually useful.
So real world.
Real useful things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And then besides the being early investors in businesses, you also invest in different tokens, in different cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah.
What care to share like your top 3 favorite ones right now besides Bitcoin Cash?
I guess Ethereum doesn't quite count as a token, but like I'm a huge fan of Ethereum. Ethereum is awesome. If I hadn't owned Bitcoin.com, let's say Bitcoin Cash never came into existence. And if I hadn't owned Bitcoin.com, I think almost for sure I would have like just switched everything to promoting Ethereum full time. And I'm still a huge Ethereum fan. Like Ethereum's awesome. Like all these Bitcoin core maximalists love to complain about ICOs. Like ICOs were awesome because they allowed investors anywhere in the world to invest in any entrepreneur anywhere in the world. And some of these entrepreneurs turned out to be scammers, but some of these entrepreneurs are going to come up with awesome products that change the world. So like,
and that should be on the users. That should be on your choice. Don't let. I don't see why the government needs to come in and tell you who you can invest money into. If I want to give you money, it's my money.
It's your money. It's not the government's money, right?
Exactly. So, like I don't need the government coming in telling me if I should give money to you or not, or what restrictions I should have. You know, it should be my. If I don't do good due diligence, it's my freaking fault.
Yeah.
You know.
That's right. That's the risk of being an investor.
So besides Ethereum, well, what's 2 more?
So. I would have been a much bigger fan of Monero. Like I bought a bunch of Monero when it was really cheap. Because Monero is awesome technically, right? Like super private payments, like fantastic, right? But man, I see like the Monero maximalists or the Monero core development team. And just behaving obnoxiously online and being hostile towards people using it in business and just treating everything like some big giant game rather than this world-changing technology that can improve the lives of everybody on the planet. That was really frustrating for me.
I'm a huge Monero holder.
Yeah, me too.
Also, you know, because I believe in privacy. Right.
Have you seen Cash Shuffle on Bitcoin Cash?
No.
I'll tell you about that next, but go on about Monero.
I was. You know, I'm a big holder of Monero also, but man, I just don't like the idea that Fluffy Pony, one of the lead guys for Monero, that he's just a piece of shit, fake ass.
Was he one of the investors in the Ethereum stuff?
Yeah, like you know, like I don't like the dude because he's saying one thing with his mouth and then behind his viewers' back,
something else with
he's
his
doing.
money.
That's why each time when like. You know, I talk to someone or anything like we are right now, like I disclose, like, I mean, like I'll say this right now, you did not pay me to do this interview.
No, I gave you $20.
Yeah, you gave me $20 as a.
But you bought me lunch earlier today too.
I bought you lunch. Yeah, but you did not pay me to interview you. You didn't pay nobody on my team or my staff. You know, I did it because I wanted, you know, my viewers to see a different perspective that you don't often see, because a lot of times people only talk to you about from the time when Bitcoin Cash started,
before.
And they never talk about anything that's before that. And I know that I used to watch a bunch of talks and interviews about you when I first got into crypto and learned about crypto. You know what I'm saying? So now, what are you saying about the shuffle?
Yeah. So Bitcoin Cash has really strong privacy coming in. So you can already get it right now today at cashshuffle.com. But we're about to build it directly into that Bitcoin.com wallet that you just downloaded. So in a couple more weeks, you'll have it right in there.
So it's automatic?
Automatic, on by default, and with a big enough base like the 6 million Bitcoin.com wallet users we have. Privacy on Bitcoin Cash will be like on par or in the same ballpark with Monero. Like really private transactions for everybody all the time that's using the Bitcoin.com.
So can you like describe technically briefly how it works? Does it shuffle up the UTXOs?
Yep.
So
it's combining your coins with everybody else's coins, and anybody, like all these, you know, government spy agencies that are getting paid by the government to spy on a transaction by doing the blockchain analytics. They'll look at the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. They'll say, "Shit, we have no idea where these bitcoins came from or where they went to." And I'm looking forward to putting these blockchain analytics companies out of business by making Bitcoin Cash so fungible that they can't spy on what people are doing by looking at the blockchain anymore. And that's our goal.
Okay.
And it's here right now. You can get the client for desktop right now today from Cash Shuffle. Bitcoin.com, and you'll be able, the Bitcoin.com wallet will do it automatically here very, very shortly.
And is that Cash Shuffle link on the Bitcoin.com website?
Just go cashshuffle.com.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm just really cautious about sending people to just
Yeah,
new
Go
URLs.
and, go and search the Bitcoin.com news section. We've done a bunch of news articles about it. Another really fun thing from an investor standpoint, so we have tokens on Bitcoin Cash now called SLP tokens. The tokens are fast, cheap, and reliable to send, but every Bitcoin Cash token just sits at a Bitcoin Cash address. So you can scan the blockchain to see which addresses have which tokens. And if you know that, you can now pay dividends on chain to token holders. So the tokens act like anonymous bearer shares that are able to receive dividend payments. And so the dividends can be paid either in Bitcoin Cash or other Bitcoin Cash based tokens. And I'm not aware of any other blockchains that are able to do that. I think that's going to be a really, really interesting, useful tool. So like, imagine if the first darknet market has like an ICO or an IPO, and then they start paying dividends to all their token holders on chain, and anybody in the world can participate. Or imagine
so it's kind of like an STO. Or so
kind of, but way
works
cooler,
similar
because all these other STOs, they like go on to exchange and then they sell their tokens and that's it. With this, the company could like at the end of every month they can pay dividends directly to all the token holders, where you still have custody of your token in your own wallet. You don't have to give up custody to somebody else to receive your dividend payment. And so that's a really, really, really powerful tool. Basically, anonymous bearer shares that are able to receive dividend payments exist right now today on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. Like, that's a powerful, useful tool in commerce.
Hey, speaking of useful tool, man, you came out with local.bitcoins.cash. I forgot to talk about that.
Local.bitcoin.com.
Local Bitcoin.
Local.bitcoin.com. Or just go to bitcoin.com and click the local button.
Okay, so that is for all the cryptocurrencies that's denominated in Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, so you can trade Bitcoin Cash against any payment method in any country for any amount with no KYC. That's a really, really big deal. So you can trade a suitcase with $1 million of cash for Bitcoin Cash. You can trade your Monero to or from Bitcoin Cash. You can trade your Dogecoin. You can trade anything.
So how does that work? It acts as an escrow or as a middleman or what?
Kind of, but it's way cooler than that. So like with other websites previously, that they take custody of the funds, right? They'll hold your Bitcoin for you. And as soon as they touch the money, they become a party to the trade, and they're subject to all these AML, KYC, money transmitter licensing nonsense stuff from a bunch of politicians living in some far city we've never met. With the platform we built, the platform never touches your money in any way whatsoever. So it's really cool. So let's say I have Bitcoin Cash and you want to buy it. The website within our browser generates a smart contract on Bitcoin Cash. It's kind of like a 2 of 2 multi-signature address. I deposit the Bitcoin Cash into that address. You send me the WeChat Pay, the wire transfer, the duffel bag of cash. You can sell me your used car, like any payment method, any amount, any country, anything. Once I receive the payment, you and I then together can sign on the Bitcoin Cash to release the Bitcoin Cash to you. If you didn't pay me and there was some problem, you and I can both sign to release the Bitcoin Cash back to me. What if there's a problem and you don't send me the wire or whatever goes wrong? Using the special opcode that only Bitcoin Cash has. This isn't possible on Bitcoin. A third party, which is specified at the time the smart contract is set up, using the special opcode called check data sig verify. And on the platform, you and I have an end-to-end encrypted chat session where we're typing back and forth. Nobody else in the entire world can read our chat until we give them the keys to decrypt our chat. So if there's a problem, we'll go and give the arbiter the keys to decrypt our chat. The arbiter can read all the chat logs. He can ask us questions. We can say what happened. He can then decide, and then using this special opcode, he can basically magically turn this 2 of 2 address into a 1 of 1 address for you or a 1 of 1 address for me, which means me by myself, I can take the Bitcoin Cash back, or you by yourself can take the Bitcoin Cash back. The arbiter never touches the money. The arbiter never has the ability to take the Bitcoin Cash. The arbiter is never a party to the transaction in any way whatsoever. So because of that, this platform never has to KYC or AML or do any of that sort of nonsense at all, because the platform never touches the money. The private keys are in your browser and my browser as users of the website, and nobody else but us ever have the private keys.
So it's just using technology to facilitate the transaction between the two.
It's like a peer-to-peer electronic cash transaction.
Okay.
So, it's really awesome. And so for people that haven't checked it out, check it out.
And what's the volume on that like right now?
So we've had around $300 million worth of trades initiated since we launched in June, and a smaller percentage of that have been completed, but it's a significant number as well. And you can actually earn money by telling your friends about it. There's an affiliate link. So maybe if you want to earn money from this video, you can put an affiliate link.
No, we don't do.
But you don't have to.
No, our lawyers jump on our ass, and
They
say
come
that,
for free, local.bitcoin.com.
Yeah, like you can tell them in the video, but like for us, it's just
That's
like
fine.
we don't want to get in trouble for accepting
Understood.
money from someone and not disclosing it to our
Okay.
viewers. You know, so that's why. You know, that $20 that we
Okay.
say here in the test, that's the only $20 I got from you as
Okay.
a part of the test transaction.
And that was
but-
for lunch. So.
yeah, for the lunch that I took you out
Thank
today
you.
for. You know, so, okay. So after this Ho Chi Minh City event, where's your next event that people can expect to meet
Yeah,
you?
next event will probably be sometime next year. I'm going to take the rest of the year off from events. So,
Oh yeah, there's only a few weeks
there's
left.
only, it's like
yeah.
Christmas and all that's happening.
Yeah.
So after
Okay.
Christmas and New Year's, I'll figure it out.
So do you spend most of your time in? Because I know you left the U.S.
Yep.
And you gave up your citizenship, your U.S. citizenship
Yep.
for good.
One of the happiest things I ever did. Yeah. I'm not kidding. I'm dead serious.
No, I know you're serious. That's why I'm laughing. You know, but you spend your time now mostly in Japan
Yeah.
and in the island of St. Kitts, where
Yep.
you have your citizenship now.
Yep.
Okay. And in the next bull market, I plan on getting the St. Kitts citizenship as well for my whole family.
Okay.
You know, so
And you can pay for the entire thing in Bitcoin Cash. So if you want to do that, email me, roger@bitcoin.com. I'll put you in touch with the right agent there. So,
yeah. Okay. And then you can help facilitate with the transaction too.
Yep.
Okay. Any last words for our viewers or any myths or misconceptions about Bitcoin Cash, about Bitcoin.com, or about Roger Ver that you want to clear up?
Bitcoin Cash isn't a scam. I'm not a scammer. I'm just here to
Yeah.
promote peer-to-peer cash for the world. So I guess that's the big misconception.
See, so the thing that's funny is that when people call you a scammer, I'm like, how is he a scammer when he's been saying the same shit? If you go back and watch his videos from 2012, 2013,
Exact same goal.
like you
Exact
would
same
know
thing.
that you would not know that it's from 2012,
exactly.
2013.
Yeah.
Like you can cut videos of you out and put it in today.
Oh, it was him last week, right?
Yeah.
So
So is there any myths or misunderstandings or
I guess the other-
fake news that you want to clear up?
the other advice I have is like, don't be a one particular cryptocurrency maximalist. Like,
Yeah.
go out there and think for yourself and look at whatever's useful and use whatever's useful to you in your life. And like, I kind of see like cryptocurrency maximalism as like being like a racist, right?
Yeah.
You think, oh, everybody that's everyone's the same color as me, they're better than everybody else out there. Like, that's the same sort of mentality as this, like, oh, everybody that's using Bitcoin is better than everyone that's using some other coin. Like, no, like everything, you know.
One thing I noticed about the I think there's different generations of Bitcoin Core maximalists. Like I label it as the ones before 2017 and after the summer of 2017. Like the guys that are like Bitcoin Meister from
I know who you're talking about,
yeah,
yeah.
he cracks me up, and like Tone Vays that came before 2017. Like I can see like talking to those guys and having a conversation with them, going out to lunch or dinner and have a beer with them or something if they drink beer, you know. But these new generation of Bitcoin Core maximalists, to me, they're like some of the weirdest dudes, man. They're like, there's. You ever back in high school? You always had that one guy that was just really weird. Like you go to a graduation party or to any kind of party, and you're like, this guy's just weird. And that's what I see it as when I go to these conferences and these meetups, and I see these Bitcoin Core guys that are just hardcore, the ones that came after 2017, after the bull
weird.
market. That's like the first thing that comes to my mind is, man, these motherfuckers are goddamn weird as shit, man. What the fuck is wrong with them, you know? It just cracks me up, man. And then what really cracks me up is when I ask them, have you paid for something with Bitcoin?
No, never,
Or made
never,
any
ever.
transactions? And they're like,
Why would I do that?
yeah, why would I do that? I'm like, because
The whole
it's
point? Yeah.
it's a electronic
Peer-to-peer
cash,
electronic cash system.
you know, and some of the things that they argue about, they never like. I remember like one of the guys he follows my channel, Brad Mills. He's one of the Bitcoin Core maximalists. Like he gets pissed off when I say that, you know, I just made a Bitcoin Core transaction. It's been 4 or 5 hours away. I don't know when the fuck it's gonna confirm. And he's like jumping on my ass about it, like, oh, you know, like as if I'm lying or something. And I'm like, how?
No reason to lie about
Like,
it.
why
yeah.
would I lie about it? And then whenever it, you know, I tweet out that, hey man, finally, you know, like I did a transaction, it went smooth, you know, it went pretty quick. But man, they get upset when I tweet out
They
that.
used to call me a liar a bunch too, and I'd say like, "Hey, here's how much I paid for the fee on the transaction." Like,
Yeah.
I have zero incentive to lie about it. If
Yeah.
anything, my financial incentive is to not lie about, or to lie in the reverse direction. Say, hey,
Yeah.
everything is great,
Yeah.
right? Because then the price of Bitcoin goes up, and I still own Bitcoin. I'd make
Yeah.
more money. So like, my financial incentive was to lie in favor of the fees being low, not
Yeah.
lie in favor of the fees being high.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you joining me on this video today, and
Thanks for
you know,
the
just
opportunity.
clearing up a lot of stuff for my viewers, you know, and so that they don't have to listen to the nonsense from some of these other people that didn't know you before the 2017 bull run, you know. So, thanks for, and I'll get the links from you and your assistant.
If people
and-
want to read a book about the history of Bitcoin, there's one called Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper.
Yeah.
And it's a really good, deep history of the early days of Bitcoin, all the way through like the into Silk Road and that sort of thing. It's like a, you know, I lived through most of it, so
Yeah.
I've read it myself. Like, it's a really, everything that I had firsthand knowledge of, it's really interesting. Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, Wences Casares, the CEO of Zappo,
Yeah.
the founder of Zappo, he got a meeting with like Bill Gates early on and was like pitching Bill Gates face to face about Bitcoin early on. And like, there's a lot of really fun things in there that I think people won't be aware of. That it's a great book. It reads like a science fiction novel. So Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper.
Okay.
And you can get a discount on it using Bitcoin Cash on Purse.io.
Okay. All right. Thanks for watching this video, guys. And if you want to learn more about trading, investing, entrepreneurship, come check us out at cryptocurrency.market, and then follow us on Twitter at HeyTaiZen. And what's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, at Roger K. Veer.
Okay.
And if you like this content, share it with a friend. If you want other people to know
Yeah.
about cryptocurrencies, share this video on your Facebook and Twitter, and, you know, tell your mom and your sister and your aunt and your uncle about it.
Yeah, and if you ever see Roger in person, you know, and you want to test out the Bitcoin.com app, or
Come up to me, I'll
wanna
send you some Bitcoin Cash.
yeah, and test transactions back and forth with him, you know, be sure to hit him up. And if you're in Ho Chi Minh City, he'll be in
Tomorrow night?
tomorrow. I'll put all the links in there because I
Which
can't
is
remember
the
it all.
16th, yeah, December 16th, Sunday.
Okay, so thanks for watching this video, guys, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a future video. Thank you.